All right, welcome to today's session. I hope you guys can hear me well. Hope you guys are doing all right. So, firstly, I want to start by thanking everybody for supporting my tournament. This is the third edition of our ChessFM Blitz Championship, and I'm glad to see that you guys are still enjoying playing this tournament. And I wish you all the best. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to sort of talk about before we start. So now if we go to this tournament, firstly you should have got the link to join the team. If you haven't got it yet, then please send me a message and also attach your proof of payment, because obviously I only want, it wouldn't be fair to the other players if there are players who haven't paid and still join the team. So for the sake of fairness, please do that. I hope you're all able to join. Now, if you're able to join, then you will see this page. Yeah, you'll see this page right now, where yeah, where it's the tournament page, of course, and you can see this tournament right here, right? So it says third ChessFM Blitz Championship. So go ahead and click on this tournament, and you should be able to see it right here. And now what you want to do is you want to click this green button that says join, and then your name will be there. All right. So I'm just going to redraw because I'm not going to play in it, but you should click this green button and stay in. Yep. All right. So hopefully it clears up any doubts that you guys may have. Make sure that you have to click the join button, otherwise you're not going to be paired for round one. Okay, and obviously there's nothing I can do if you're not paired for round one. You have to click the join button, you have to join the team, and you have to click join. And if you do that, then you should have a very smooth tournament. Alright, so couple of things. I'm planning to take about 10-minute break after round number 6. Is that alright with everyone? So if there are no objections, then we will have a break, a 10-minute break after round number 7. So that will be the plan. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions, please type it in the chat and I'll get to them. All right. So yeah, I guess that's it then. Well, all that's left is for me to thank you guys once again for your support. Without you guys, I would never be able to organize these events. So, thank you everyone for your continuous support. And for some of you, you have joined every single edition of my tournaments. So, I mean, thank you so very much for your unwavering support in this respect. I know I've said the word support so many times, but I am really very grateful in that respect. Okay, so if you have any questions, please type it in the chat and I'll get back to it. Round number 1 starts at 8 p.m. sharp. I'm not going to delay anything, so please join the team and please join the tournament right now if you haven't already done so. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. And may the best player win. Thank you, and I'll see you at 8 p.m. Alright, welcome to round number 1. The games have started. Good luck to everyone. By the way, I should mention that I wasn't able to change the settings, unfortunately. Maybe a mistake. So there will not be a break in between. We'll just be playing the 11 rounds through. So hopefully that's alright with everyone, because there's no real way for me to change the settings, unfortunately. So that will be that, yeah? Alright. So let's go straight to the games. I think there are some very interesting pairings indeed. So we're going to go straight to them. Okay. Well, in this game, where we've got Crush against Type Reap, we have what is a King's Indian. Okay, C5, D5, H6, H3, and White went for this queen trade with Queen A4 and allowed B5. Okay, and I think Black is doing very well here. Oh, he takes on D5. This is really as good as it gets. Is that Bishop C6 though? Not sure. I guess you could at least play Rook A6 and you take the bishop. If you take the knight, then we take the knight. So that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, and Black has got a very nice position. And yeah, very good chances in this game, I would think. Right, let's go back to the start. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, for those of you who joined late, you will be getting a half point buy. That's what will be happening. So that's why you have a half point buy like this, because that means you have joined late and you'll be paired for the next round, but you get a half point for it. Now there are 11 rounds, so I don't think it's a very big deal. It's always everything to play for. Okay, so let's go to this game. It's the game of Hariharan. E4, C5, Knight F3, D6. Okay, and we have a very strange sort of Sicilian. Yeah, it's the weird C3 Sicilian where Black has gone for this slightly passive setup, but okay. Not sure about E5. White has got a... White's a little bit overextended. I don't think he should have played E5. Now I think Black is doing very well. Knight F4 and Rook D1. Okay. So, I mean, stating the obvious, White has some weaknesses, it's a bit overextended, and Black's pieces are looking great. So, I think he's got pretty good chances in this game, Hariharan. We'll come back to this, certainly. Okay, so let's see, what else do we have? Has been yet another join request. I did mention that you should join early, and if you haven't, then you're gonna get a half point buy. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, you should of course reward people for joining earlier, and so they get to play one extra game. That to me is equity. Okay, Queen C2. Okay, and well, this is actually quite interesting. But I think Black should play something like B4, not just keep this knight on C3. And knight is just so strong, and yeah, with such a strong knight, it's going to be very hard for White to play. Black, by the way, is threatening stuff like Bishop takes F3, which would be pretty nasty. So, White's lots of weaknesses. Black's great knight. This one's looking good for Hariharan. And after A3, I think Black can take on F3. G takes F3. I don't think it's the only way, but it certainly looks good enough. Or he could even do something else. He could even start with something like Bishop E4. Well, that's what he does. He starts with Bishop E4. Okay, and yeah, it's looking very good for him. The only question is, how good is it? Maybe this is an even better version, because after Queen moves, maybe Black's idea is to take and play something like Rook D3. This could be very interesting. So, I mean, but it's really only fun for Black, so this is quite one-sided. Let's go back and see if there are any more interesting games. Well, we've got Smurf account, who has, by all accounts, got a pretty massive position. What's going on? Okay, so we've got a King's Indian. Okay. That's fair enough. With Bishop G4, and Black's taken on F3, which I'm not sure about. Like, combining Bishop F3 with sort of E5 in this way. Like, my understanding is that he should be combined with some sort of Knight E5 and Knight C6. Yeah. So it's E5 followed by Knight C6 to take D4 square. This feels like a bit of a passive setup to me, but... Well, the thing about this is that it's still a King's Indian. And I don't really buy Bishop H6. It feels a bit strange. Don't really buy F takes C4 either. Don't really buy any of these moves, to be honest. Knight F6. I think actually Black is Well, black's in trouble now. Knight e6 takes an e4. So this is some attempt to complicate castles. Rook takes f8, and yeah, this is not looking good for black at all. It's a full exchange, and yeah, white doesn't even have to move the bishop immediately. Yeah, although he could very well play bishop g4, which looks like a very strong move also. So yeah, not looking that great for black. I think white is doing well, but of course, it is a 3+2 game, and things are gonna start heating up very soon in this one. I guess we'll stay with this one. It's looking interesting. I'm not sure how black's supposed to defend against this. He plays queen e5. Okay, so what can white do? So e takes f3 is not a threat, right? So maybe you can just double something like rook e3, rook ae1. He plays queen e3. Okay, I guess black should do something like taking that bishop, which he now does. Okay, and now, I take all that back about black being in trouble, because black is completely winning now. With the knights being so strong, and knight takes f3, it's not even close. Take the rook and play rook e8, and it's over. And we can go on to another game. Wow, that was a big turnaround. But I think that's one thing that you'll see in a lot of these strong players. Yeah, they of course are very, very good in these. They'll really show their class when it comes to the time scrambles. And that's the case for a lot of these kids. They're really good at Blitz. And wow, it seems like there are some upsets ongoing. Although certainly not in this game, where black's going to win this one. Let's go on and see if there's anything else. I did see some very interesting games just now. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on here. Everything to play for. This is not an interesting one. I sort of misevaluated that. This one is an interesting pawn angle, but I think it's a draw, yeah? It's actually a draw. Just a draw. King e5, king e3. King c5. Okay, is black trying to play for a win? I think we still go king c3, yeah? Yeah, there's nothing to do. It's just a draw. Okay, let's go back. Games are really wrapping up at this point, and I expect them to be done very soon. Well, what's going on is not that special. Black's completely winning here, and in the other game, black's up a queen, so yeah, not very much to say. These games are finishing very quickly, as you would expect. It is round 1 after all, and we are using a shorter time control this time, because I think 5+3 was really taking out everyone's evening, so I didn't want to do that. So today, it's 3+2, will be done by 10 p.m. And we are done. So that should be the next round in that case. Next round will be starting in 20 seconds. And by the way, I will not be... Yeah, I will not be having a break for... I will not be having a break in between, unfortunately, because... yeah, I wasn't able to change the settings, but... Well, it is what it is. So, unfortunately, there won't be a break, but it does mean that you guys will have, more Blitz chess in a row, which of course is nice. Now, people are joining late. It's hard to join late in these type of Blitz events, so please don't make things hard for yourself, and don't make things hard for me, and be punctual next time. Thank you very much. Well, let's go straight to the game. Well, we've got a really interesting match. Crush against Chess Viewer. Okay, I don't understand v6. It's a bit of a strange idea. Like, if you wanted to play c5, you could have done c5 but without that. Okay, knight e5, I'm not sure. So, because you're almost asking for white to play f4 now. So f4 is going to come, hit that knight, I guess, at some point. Well, you can do it in any time, so no point to really rush with that. a4, stopping any b5 forever, and oops! Oh dear, that's a nasty move to see. That's a free knight. Uh-oh. And now black should be in big trouble. I think white's going to convert this without too much issues. I mean, Crush has been very, very clinical in these type of positions, so no chances at all. Let's go back to the rest of the game, see if there's anything else that's more interesting. Oh, there is. There is Chim Paradox. What is this? Knight takes d5. What is this position? Wow, it's some sort of Scandinavian gone mad. Knight takes d5. Alright, bishop e7. Interesting. So, obviously black couldn't have taken, but now he's threatening to take on d5, which forces white to make a decision. Bishop b5 check. Okay, fair enough, but this allows black to develop with knight c6. I'm not sure whether this was a good decision. Now, I think white should go for some sort of knight e5. Maybe knight takes e7, followed by... No, I can't play knight e5. Maybe some sort of g4 followed by knight e5. That feels like the way to try to keep the initiative, although obviously it's very risky. So it remains to see what white will do. Because I think also white needs to be accurate, because if not, then black could end up getting a very nice position. After all, he has a very nice structure, no weaknesses at all, and his pieces are going to get pretty active. So if white can't find any way to create any problems, then I think black will be doing very well. And this is exactly what he's looking at. He's trying to find a way to create problems, but it's not that easy. Bishop e7 was actually a pretty solid move. Knight takes, just queen takes e7, and there's not really any way they can do anything against that setup. So knight takes e7 has to be played, I think. Queen takes e7 will be played, most certainly. It's not thinking of king takes e7, yeah? Of course it's not. Takes on d1, okay. And now king takes e7. Ooh, bishop takes f3. Okay, knight c6 is possible, but then... Okay, but then maybe bishop d1 is possible there, yeah? Okay, this is actually getting interesting. You might have to take g takes f3. And I guess black's idea would then be to take king takes e7 and say that, okay, you've spoiled this pawn structure. Which is fair enough, I guess, because if you were to take on e7 right away, then there would be g4 followed by knight e5. And in this way, this method has sort of been avoided. Okay, so he takes back g takes f3, which I think I had to do. King takes e7 will be played. I don't know what he's thinking about. Now there are really no intermediate moves. You have to play king takes e7. And I guess white should just develop normally, something like bishop e3. And okay, it's a playable position. Okay, bishop c5 is coming, so maybe you play rook h to d8, check, king e8. And it's a playable position for both sides. Knight d5 is interesting. He's trying to go to f4 or something, but it's allowing bishop c5 check. Well, not just allowing, but almost inviting. When white has taken up the invitation, bishop c5, king f6. So now, what's going to happen? Maybe white's going to kick it with c4. Or c4, maybe there's going to be knight f4, hitting that pawn on h3. Yeah, I guess he's going to play knight f4, surely. There's no real other way that black can try to play this. So it's going to be knight f4. And now white will have a decision what to do about this. Maybe white will play king h2 or try to go to g3. But then black can play rook d8. And white's initiative seems to be fading. So it's not so clear what you should do. Maybe something like... No, I can't do that. I was thinking bishop e3, where you can take king g2 and bring the knight back to g5. And in that way, the knight is saved. And... Oh, but maybe there's still f4 there. So maybe that is interesting. Knight e4 and, you kick it again with f3. And that's... The knight could be short of squares. So maybe that's what you do, yeah? Because you got to try to keep the initiative in some way. So some idea like that could make sense. Because you need to try to continue creating threats. Otherwise, black's going to get a fantastic position. The bishop e3 looks like an interesting try. King h2 feels way too slow. Now I think black has a very good position in many ways. More simple to me seems like rook h d8. But wait, now I'm thinking of it. Maybe there is... No, I did not do that. I was thinking bishop takes c6 followed by bishop d4. But then I guess black can play e5. Well, black's play e5 in any case. And I think, okay, black is starting to take over. Black's plan is very simple. He would like to maybe bring his king back to e6. Maybe chase the white bishop first. He could also think of playing a move like knight d4. Although he has to be a bit careful that moves like rook takes d4 don't work in that case. So... Certainly black has ideas, but actually it's not that easy, because if you play king e6, then there is going to be the move c5, and the bishop's going to come back. Okay, white plays c5, which was white's move. Knight d4, what? Rook takes d4? He misses it, what? There was rook takes d4. Winning material. Now black could have taken that pawn on f3, but no, he invests knight f5. Okay, so I guess he's going for this bishop on d6, which is fair enough. I still don't understand why white didn't play rook takes d4. That looked really, really strong. Rook c1. I guess perhaps he just didn't see it. That's the best explanation. Rook c8. Now knight takes d6 can always be played, so there's no real hurry to play a move like that. Bishop d5. Interesting, but can I not just play knight takes d6? Knight takes d6, c takes d6. Oh no, knight d5 is better, yeah? And white resigned because, of course, knight takes d6 and there's a pin along the c file. So there's nothing more to play here. Alright, let's see if any other games are going on. Well, Hari's still playing. Hari's got a very interesting position. In fact, it looks like he's under pressure a little bit. Knight takes b7, bishop takes c6. The bishops are very strong in this position. I think black is doing really, really well. Although, of course, there are some tricks for white. He's going to play bishop c4 and try to use this slightly exposed position of the black king. Maybe I might go for a move like h6 at some point. Just so that knight f7, you can always meet by king h7. But, of course, it's not a threat right now. Well, you still have to be careful, though. I think I would go h6, because then, like... anytime knight f7, king h7, so I don't have to worry about that in any other cases. Then I can start to move my rook maybe. Bishop e5, or maybe even stroll. Wow, knight takes e4. The rook on f8 is hanging. What a nice thought, and very alert by Hariharan. Hariharan is very good at these tactics. It's very tricky, as are most of these players. But wow, who has trick 2? Wow, knight g3, this is nice. Because if knight g5, maybe there was... Oh no, knight g5, bishop h2 was not a threat. Because then there would be queen f8 mate still. But okay, knight g3. Now, black has got some compensation. He's got the 2 bishops. Obviously, he's lost one of his key pieces. He lost that pawn on e4, which is like a very important pawn. But at the same time, he has the 2 bishops. He can simply drop his bishop back, I guess, and there will always be decent compensation. Queen d4, okay. I mean, it's not a bad move, I guess. It's a bit loose, but the rook on e8 is still protected by the bishop on c6, so there shouldn't be any real issues, I would guess. Bishop f1. Okay, so things are starting to heat up. How is black supposed to play? Maybe black can try something like h5, try to push that knight away. Could also consider playing something like f4, though that would run into maybe knight e2, so you would have to be quite careful still. So maybe f4 is possible. Knight e2 and you just drop the queen back and push the pawn to f3. Let's see. That should be interesting. Now black has to make a decision. He's up on the clock by not by much. Queen takes f2. What? No. Bishop d4, rook e3. No. Oh, wait. This is genius. This is genius. No, this is genius. Wow. Queen takes f2. That's a nice move. Okay, I didn't see that. I gotta admit, this is a great move. That's a great move. Bishop. Queen takes f2. What a nice idea. And now Hariharan's just tilted. I'll be tilted. I don't blame him. If my opponent was playing that well, I'll be a bit tilted myself. There's nothing you can do though. Sometimes it's just your opponent's day. And it's time for your opponent to find these great moves, which really, really put an end to all your hopes and dreams. But that is chess. Sometimes you crush dreams, and sometimes your dreams get crushed. And this was the case for Hariharan in this case. Not a pretty game, but it is what it is. There are still many rounds, so lots of time to make a comeback. Okay, so the rest of the game is not that interesting. There are no real marathons. This one is what? What is this? G6? He didn't take, he just took and allowed G7. No, but it's still knight D7. No, knight D7, king G6. There's nothing. Wow, this is amazing. No, now this is finished. Wow. What an epic blunder. What an epic blunder. Queen b3. Now this is finished. Just take the knight. This is so sad. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but this is Blitz. This is how Blitz works. And like it or not, Blitz is a fair game. Yeah, and it's never too late to blunder in Blitz. Queen e3, well, white's conversion is not stellar. He's allowing the black king to come to a2. This is not how you should convert these stuff. Okay, finally he plays queen b1. This is usually the key. Now it's time to bring the king. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now it's gonna be finished, yeah? You can even play something like king d3 and have a2, queen c2. Okay, this is clean, yeah? And now you just play king, you just move your king, okay? Queen c3, that's very good, and it's king c2, I guess. And that's over. And now black has nothing better than to resign or give up all its pawns. Either option is not that appealing, I would reckon. But it is what it is. Yeah, so in Blitz, you can never relax too early because, it's always possible to make a blunder. I mean, queen c5, by the way, could be a humorous way for white to return the favor, but no, white's not going to oblige in any stalemate ideas. So I was just going to bring his king around and give mate, and that is going to decide. Wow, an epic turnaround. I mean, white was dead lost. He was dead to rights, and suddenly, black's the one that's getting mated. Well, so that is how Blitz works, I guess. As a grandmaster once said, in Blitz, always fair. Right, let's go back to the next round. So some leaders, quite a few leaders at the top actually. We've got Crush, we've got Ray Young, we've got Ramat Nico, we have some other guys like Andy J, pretty strong players in their own right. Okay, so we're gonna see some epic matchups in this next round. It's only round 3 of 11, so everything to play for, certainly. Okay, e4, d6, right. Perk defense. So Crush has been going for these sort of perks for some time. He likes the perk and he likes the King's Indian. He is Indonesian, so there's no surprise. Indonesians generally love the fianchetto. They swear by the fianchetto. And to be fair, their results are usually very good. Okay, c5. Is that not a pawn sack? I guess it's a deliberate pawn sack. I think white should have taken on c5. At least try to test black in those lines. But okay, I think black's actually doing okay now. Knight c6, queen a5. Okay, he's got, I think, a nice version of the dragon variation, because white's attack hasn't started yet with h4, while black got his pieces out quite nicely. So g4, whoa. Okay, guess there was no knight takes c4 yet, but these things could become an idea in the future. So white plays knight e2, stopping that, but that move loses control of the b5 square, and black immediately exploits that, playing the move b5. So now I think black's attack is coming. Actually, b4 is a very, very big threat, so it's important that white has to be accurate here. But actually, what is white supposed to play? I'm not so sure. It's not so clear, is it? Like, if I move this knight, maybe I might have to play something like knight d5. Wow, he just plays g5. That's almost begging for the move b4 to be played, and Crush doesn't need a second invitation. He goes straight for b4. Well, now maybe white should take on f6. Yeah, well, he also has the option of knight d5. Although, I mean, he could have done that on the previous move. I don't know why he didn't do that. But he still has this option. Actually, this option looks like a decent one. Knight d5. And it's not so easy. What is Crush supposed to do? I mean, it feels very dodgy. It feels like there should be something here for black, but it's not that easy to find. I mean, the knight on f6 is getting hit, and if you take knight takes d5, then e takes d5 fox these two guys. Now bishop f5 takes... I mean, that seems a bit dubious. So maybe what I do is I'll have to bring the knight back to d7, which renews some threats like bishop takes d5, followed by knight e5, and that could be quite promising for black still. So I still like black's position of some of like knight d7, but it takes knight takes d5. Wow, e takes d5, and what's he going to play? Knight e5? No, b3. Wow, what a move. This is some epic tactics. Queen takes a5, there's going to be what? V takes c2, king takes c2, knight takes a5 check. And if the king moves, then he's going to play bishop f5. Wow. And black has a better endgame. This is some fantastic calculation. Well, what else can I say? Are there any alternatives? Can white play a takes b3? I guess that's going to be by knight b4, followed by queen a2. Well, still that's knight c1, but then the pawn on d5 hangs. So he plays c takes b3. Okay, this is a principal option. Knight b4, a3. But then bishop f5 is going to be an issue, no? Whoa, knight c3. This looks very, very dodgy. Bishop f5 check. Now it's almost falling down. I think white's position is falling apart. If king c1, knight takes e2 is checkmate. If king a1, then knight c2 is curtains, because king b1, knight takes e3 check. And then we get the same windmill idea again. It's a total disaster for white. So Crush, a fantastic game by our Indonesian top seed. Crush has been doing very well in the tournaments. He won, I believe, our second edition. So he's actually the defending champion of this tournament. And in a previous edition, we had a bigger prize fund. So he took home a very nice payday. Now, I mean, if the entries get a bit better for our next few tournaments, we'll keep that as an option, yeah, to increase the prize pool accordingly. Yeah, I'm definitely up for that if you guys are willing to lend your support. But this one is not going anywhere. White is dead. So let's go and see if there's anything else that's interesting. Well, let's refresh this. Should be able to find quite a lot more interesting games, I would reckon. Okay. Rui-Yang against Ian Poet. Rui-Yang's having a very nice... Wow, it's a very nice grind. It's an absolute nightmare for black, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, the pawns are so weak. How is black supposed to defend that pawn on d5? Okay, I know how. It's impossible, so just give it up. But the problem is, even if you give it up, there's no real way to get any sort of counterplay, because black's pawns on the king side are just so weak. You're so disjoint, and it's just a total positional disaster for black. And I think black is dead lost. He's completely lost, and there's nothing else to do. To be honest, resignation is not that bad of an option in such positions. I don't usually recommend early resignation, but it looks so dead. Rook e8. Okay. That's a fair try. Now bishop h2 is a threat, I guess. I would even be thinking about some move like king h1 or even g3. Yeah, actually g3... No, but g3 queen takes h3. So that would allow him some chances. Okay, maybe he's still fighting. To credit where credit is due, Ian Po is he's really putting the pressure on. He's really trying to fight this one out. Maybe it's time to just move the king and just a prophylactic move like that. That seems strong. Yeah, something like king h1. Okay, e4 also looks very strong, but maybe he's still a move like queen c7 now. Oh, but then the stuff gets thin. Okay, it's threat queen e7. So bishop h2 is a threat. So threats are bishop h2 as well as bishop c7. I can't draw arrows, so yep, I beg your pardon, the respect. Oh, but there's a really nice move here for white. I'm not sure whether I should review it. It's a very nice move, which protects the rook on d1 as well, indirectly. But then, okay, then the pawn on e4 would hang, so it's not that easy. Maybe that's what you have to do. You have to give up the pawn on e4, because otherwise bishop h2 is a very, very annoying threat. e5, but doesn't that just allow bishop c7? No, no, bishop c7 isn't white just lost. White is dead. The rook on d1 hangs. No, this is dead. This is so dead. No, white is lost. White is lost. Wow. So Ian for this swindler. I mean, credit where credit is due. It looks so dead lost. I was even suggesting to resign, which is, of course was a terrible option with hindsight. But you can see he's really a great fighter. And I think that's the thing about these kids. It's easy to get a good position against them. But it's not easy to win the good position. And that's the key. These kids, they are real fighters. And they're really showing their class here. Queen b2, kg7. I mean, if they don't show their class, then they certainly show their swindling skills, which are very much up to par. Bishop c7 check, king h1, queen f1. And I'm going to see a very, very nice upset here by Ian Po. Obviously a big miss by Ray Young. I think actually instead of e5, he could have tried something like queen h5. Because bishop h2, knight h2 is the point. But then black could take on e4, and obviously it's still pretty unclear. Alright, so let's move on to something else that's more interesting. See if there are any other interesting games going on. Well, okay, but that's an extra piece. Most of them seem quite nasty. Wow, how much is actually up material against Harihara? No, actually it's pretty balanced, but in general, I feel like it's easy to play black in these type of positions, because, you you have the rook and knight and a pawn, but, I mean, I think in Blitz especially, it's easy to play black. Although, now I'm not so sure, because white gets h5. Yeah, one's got to play h5. The whole point is that you have to try to exploit these weaknesses, because white needs some weaknesses to attack with his queen. So I think white should have played h5, and now that he hasn't done that, black's the one that's playing h5 himself. But okay, f5 still, knight d5, okay, g takes f6. Okay, white is making some progress. I'm not sure. Maybe now something like e4 would not be out of the question either. Yeah, trying for some sort of e5. This looks actually quite decent. Yeah, so we will see. This looks very interesting. Okay. So I guess it remains to be seen whether whether white can really make any real progress there. Okay. So yeah, let's go back to this game. Okay. White is... Sorry, I mean, I had to process all these players who are registering late. Yeah. Again, please don't join late. By the way, I'm not going to accept any more entries after this round. If you join late, then that's on you. Sorry to say. It's not my problem. But here, okay, black is in some trouble. f5 is coming up. Stop it something there. Queen b2! Queen b2 wins the rook! Oh dear, it's not Hari's tournament, is it? And the worst part is that knight c5 doesn't even work, because this is a check. And you don't have time to play knight takes c4. It's a disaster. Queen c4. And, well, I mean, you shouldn't write off black yet, but, I mean, because the knights they're always a little bit tricky, but it is a queen, and white's going to win this. Wow, so Hari, after posting some very stable performances in the last few events, he's going to lose 2 games in a row here. This is unprecedented. Wow, okay. So this one is another... No, this is not interesting. I didn't see the pawn on a2. This must be dead loss. It's too many pawns. So, I mean, the rest of the games aren't that interesting anymore. They just seem pretty one-sided. Yeah. And, well, Hari has lost. So, I mean, the least combative game is... I think our games are done, actually. So, well, there is one more, but... Wait, what's going on? No, this is lost. This is lost. Pawns are going this way, right? I think he had to try something like rook h6 to try to check on the 6th rank. But of course it's lost, and now it's definitely lost. Yeah, now just check and then push the pawns. It's too easy. Oh, actually trading rooks is even better. Interesting, it doesn't trade the rooks. This is very strange. Oh, but now you get the chance to trade another pair of rooks, right? Rook e3 check. King d2 though, okay. But then rook a3 or something. The rook trade's gonna happen at some point. I still don't understand why Black's not pushing his pawns. It's very strange. But I mean, the problem is that at some point Black will... I mean, the problem for White really is that at some point Black will run out of good moves and he'll think, okay, what if I just push the pawn? I think that's what he does. And when he does that, then the 15 move will sort of resets. So White doesn't really have any drawing chances, and it's just too easy. Black just runs his pawns down. Okay, and after the rook trade, there is really nothing to see. I will stick with this because it's the last game of this round. And by the way, I should remind you guys, there is no break after round 6. No break, because I couldn't change the settings. So we'll play 11 rounds all the way through. Hopefully that arrangement is alright with you guys. Okay, well, this one is over. There's not much really to say. So, yeah, see you very soon for next game. So it'll be over very, very quickly. Right, let's see if there are any join requests. Hopefully there aren't any new ones. Let's go back to the tournament. So 5 seconds left to the next round. Let's see. Let's see who's up against who. Okay, we have Psycho Demi against Crush. So now it's really starting to heat up. The strong Blitz players are starting to meet each other. Crush E3. Interesting. Perhaps this is his Blitz line. It's a playable line, these E3 QGDs. Personally speaking, not that big of a fan of these type of lines, but it is possible to play like this, most certainly. And I know that he likes to do this and play some sort of B3, and he doesn't really mind these sort of hanging pawn structures. Although he is giving Black these sort of IQP structures now. So Black has to play E takes D5. I guess White will be taking on C5, playing some sort of B3 or even knight B3, D4. Okay, plays A3, preparing B4 and bishop B2. It's a very classic way of playing these lines. And really the point is that White's going to try to hold maximum control over the D4 square, making sure that Black can't really push the pawn to D4. A5 stopping B4, but of course that weakens the square on B5, so it's always a bit of a risky decision to play this way. B3 and White develops his bishop to B2. Yeah, this is looking like a very nice setup for White. Bishop D6. I mean, White's play is very easy. Rook C1, it can even play knight D4. Yeah, it plays knight D4, indeed. Okay, I mean, I like White in this type of positions. It's very, very easy play, and of course, Black having the IQP should try to, to create some ideas of his own, certainly. But the interesting thing about the IQP is that in the past, it was thought that if Black didn't create any ideas, then he'll be in big trouble. But actually now, a lot of endgames are shown to be actually holdable for the side of the IQP. They aren't quite as bad as traditional theory used to consider them. So these are actually playable for Black, and it's really given a boost to a lot of players who like playing the IQP structure. Okay, it is still it's still a very combative structure, and I always feel that it's easier to play against it. Some people prefer to play with the IQP, some people against. And really, if you're going for these type of lines with Black, then you should better like it, because otherwise it's not going to be that pleasant to play. You can see White's already getting a time advantage. And another thing is very important in Blitz, it's not really that much about the weight. Is that bishop takes A3? No. The queen E7, no, it's White to move. So A4 defends that, takes, and queen takes C1. Okay, so no real issues, but Black does get this square on B4. Okay, Black is starting to speed up. I think Black's moves is starting to get a bit easier as well, which is a good thing for him, because the thing is that before this, White was having a very nice edge on the clock because his moves were so much easier compared to Black's. But okay, things are starting to even out a little bit, although Crush, I should mention, he is extraordinarily fast. Is knight takes e5 an idea? Knight takes e5, knight d2. Okay, there's no point to calculate that. Rook c1. Queen takes c1. Okay, white's got a nice, pleasant endgame. Queen c7 is always something to watch out for. Hence, knight c6 is a very nice move. Bishop b5 hits that knight on c6. I guess black should protect it. Yeah. I mean, knight takes d4 feels like it should be a nice position for white. He just takes back, and black is sort of suffering there. Okay, I'm not sure whether this was the right decision. Bishop takes d4. That's fair enough. Bishop b5, white's going to take back. That pawn could easily push to b6, and that could be quite annoying because then c7 is always a square that white could come into. And if white ends up with that pawn on c7, then it's going to be very hard for black to play this. So I think white's got a very nice position, and he does get queen c7. Now, black might have to take the queen, because otherwise how does he protect that pawn? He plays queen e7. Okay, that's fair enough. But okay, it's not that easy to continue to do. I mean, we could try knight e5, going for some knight d7 threats. Now, that's also an option for white. Okay, it's looking very unpleasant, actually. Yeah, and that's what he does. He plays knight e5. I'm not sure whether he's going for knight d7. But okay, bishop d6. This is a good try. He's trying to get the queens up because the queen was one of the most annoying pieces. Now, white obviously doesn't want to do that. He gets queen c8 check. He might give another check on f5, but okay, king g8. In fact, I think if I was white, I would check one time and then see. Because, you know, one repetition is not an issue for me. But okay, knight d3, queen e6. But doesn't that hang the pawn on b7? What's happening? Why can't he just take that pawn? Well, he does. And we'll see what black has in mind after this. What black's thinking. Perhaps he just blundered that. Knight d2. So he's trying to get the pawn on b3. But that pawn on b6 is actually really, really strong. Okay, queen a6. So if knight takes b3, I guess b7 is the plan. Okay, and I mean, actually, what is the real plan? b7, there might be knight takes d4, but then e takes d4. What's going on? The bishop still stops the square on b8. It feels like this is so dodgy. It feels like it must be good, but okay, I think this is a good decision by white. Because why to even calculate these lines? We can play bishop c3. That knight on b3 is in trouble. And it's not that easy to get that knight out of trouble, is it? Maybe there's a move like knight c5. I guess if knight takes c5, bishop takes c5, that pawn on b6 maybe could be a bit hard to defend. But okay, queen e4. So now can white play b7? That's the question. b7, what happens then? I'm not so sure. What is black going to do about this? And white's asking the same question. Bishop b8. But okay, this must be good for white somehow, right? Queen b5 is very logical, hitting that knight on b3. Well, I guess queen b3, queen d3 is not really a threat for now, but you know, it's always annoying for black. Okay, what's he going to do? Maybe we can try something like knight f4, because obviously you cannot take on f4 twice, because then there would be b8 queen. So maybe something like that, hitting the pawn on d5 could be interesting. Or maybe black's got the reply d4. I don't know. It's looking very interesting. Wow, bishop e5. Oh, this looks really, really strong. Bishop takes e5, knight takes e5. And that would free up the pawn to queen. So queen is c4. No, this cannot be. Wow, how is he still holding on? Well, queen c4 takes bishop b8, cd3, and then d2 would come. So queen b6 is keeping the stuff on the board. Queen d3, bishop b8. This is an epic battle. Bishop takes b8, I guess check, and knight d2 is his idea. They're going for some sort of knight f1. Wow, this is very, very interesting. Things are really heating up now. Now, knight f1 is a serious threat. What are you supposed to do about that? Maybe h4, so knight f1, king h3. Maybe that's the way. It's done it. It's done h4. Wow, this is really, really heating up. Actually, what is black supposed to do? He plays h5. How is that really helping? Maybe we bring the bishop back now. Maybe something like bishop e5 maybe. And if knight f1, then king... Oh, but knight f1, king h3, queen g4 mate is a threat. Wow, this is epic. So maybe... Wow, do we have to play a move like f3? How are we supposed to stop this? Or queen back. Oh, wow, this is a nice move. Queen d4, taking control over the g4 square. What is black going to do? Maybe he can try a move like f5, renewing the threat of knight f1. But no, he plays knight f1 right away. But now king h3 looks really good for white, no? What is black's idea? I don't quite get this. Is it something like queen b1? Wow, that could be a nice idea. No, this is lost. This is dead lost. Wow, a3. No, wow. How is this working? Bishop e5, a2. The pawn on d4 is blocking the range of this bishop. So both sides are going to queen at the exact same time. This is epic. And actually black's got his own threats now. Maybe white needs to play queen b3 to try to stop these threats. Queen c7, is there not queen a3 check? Queen a3 check. This looks so dangerous. Bishop g3, maybe queen d3. There are all sorts of mating ideas. It reminds me of one of those Karpov-Kasparov games where Karpov actually got mated by Kasparov's queen and knight in a very similar situation. So this is actually quite a dangerous position for white. Queen e6, this doesn't feel right. I feel like in this endgame, white's going to be comfortable. I don't understand this decision. I think you should have played queen g6, try to keep the queens on the board. But now bishop f4, the knight is completely trapped. Now white is dead, winning. e5, now this is total desperation. Even d takes e5, d4, but okay, he plays bishop takes e5. I'm not sure about that, because now the knight comes back out. To be fair, e5 was a good practical try. That's the only chance he had, because otherwise he was going to lose the knight for free. And okay, white is still really much better, but black is, for now, still surviving. White's going to try g4, trying to create the fast pawn. And black's going to just bring his king to f6. Of course, he's going to ignore that pawn on g4. He's not going to take it. Bishop c7, the king's going to come out. King f6. No. Plays knight b2. I don't know why he's not activating the king. To me, that feels a bit strange. King g3. I think that's now knight d3. You have to stop king f4. Bishop e5, king f7, I guess. What else are you going to do? He's not thinking of attacking the king on h6, is he? No, I cannot seriously be thinking that. King f7. Gotta play fast, because white's gonna try to press you on the clock. H takes g4, but I'm not sure about this. This allows king takes g4. Knight f2 check, king g5. Wow, king f3. Okay. So now the knight probably goes back to d3. And what now? And he plays knight e4. Actually, this is actually looking quite okay for black, yeah? Because how is he going to... I mean, but maybe you have to walk the king to g5. You have to walk the king to g5 and walk the king to h6. Otherwise, well, how else are you going to make progress? You won't be able to make progress otherwise. King h3, but no, this cannot be. Just king e6, king f5. That's a draw. I don't understand why he's not bringing the king. Black just needs to bring his king to f5 and he's going to make the draw. What is he doing? No, knight e3 check. As knight h6. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, that's good. Knight h6 is good. Now bring the king. Yes. Don't forget about the king. Bring the king. Bring the king. Bring the king. Yes. And now bring the knight back to f7. Yeah, or something. Don't play knight g4 because maybe like bishop g7 and the knight could be... Okay, maybe it's still fine. There's still knight h2 there. Okay, bishop b8. Now you play knight f6 or something. Okay, this black should hold this unless he gets his knight trapped. Really, white's only chance is to trap that knight, but I don't know how it's gonna ever do that. I think this is gonna be a draw. What an epic battle this is. Knight f1 check, king f3, and black's control over the light squares is just enough to hold the draw. White cannot push the pawn to h5. He cannot make any decent pawn breaks. White is going to try this. White's going to try to bring his king this way, but he should be careful because if he tries to bring his king too far, maybe king g4. King g4. Black could try to play this for a win. No, it's checking on b2. What is he doing? He's forcing the white king closer. No, this can't be right. King c3. King c3. Now he's got to do it. He didn't bring his king here for no reason. He's got to go king b4 and try to take this guy. And the king gets to c5, you know, suddenly the game flares anew because white has plans of bringing the king this way. Okay, it's trying knight e3. This is a great idea. It's playing for knight g2. Yes, I like this idea very much. You gotta play king e4, protecting this pawn. Now knight g2 is gonna come, and what is going on? King g4 is gonna take this pawn. Who is playing for a win? I don't know who is playing for a win. Bishop c7 maybe, trying to bring the bishop to d2. I don't know. This is too crazy for me. King c6, but does that help? King takes h4. King d7. Okay, so he's gonna bring the king to e6. That should protect him. Okay. But now knight f5, bishop e5. Okay, who is playing for a win here? I don't know. King e6. Knight e3 seems like the only way to play. But okay, now black's knight is a little bit tied up. It's not so easy for black to continue. And king f6 is coming back up. What? He's just giving out that pawn on d5. White can take on d5 now. I think white's going to win this. How is he going to stop king e5 followed by pushing the pawn? Or maybe not. Maybe you can take. That's what you do. You take it and you play g5. It's the last chance for you to do that before king e5 was going to protect that pawn. And now white's got no way to play for a win. King e4, but knight e6 and knight takes f1 a minimum. Maybe you can even try this, knight g7, but okay, black decides that draw is a good result, which, let's be honest, it was, given the position he had earlier. Draw is indeed a very good result, and he should be very happy about this. And there's nothing to do, it's dead draw. Both sides are trying to flag each other, but let me remind you, there are 2 seconds increment for each move, yeah? So there is no point to try to flag this. It's impossible to flag it. Yeah. And yeah, finally they agree to a draw. Okay, so back to the tournament. That was an epic battle indeed. That was a great game. Alright, so the leaders now are, interestingly enough, not really any of the top seeds. Well, we have Rahman who's in the lead, but other than that, we don't really have that many players. We have London Rapid. So this is going to be the battle for first place. But Crush and Psycho are very close behind. And it's going to be another marquee matchup that we're going to see. Alright. So we have London against Ram and Neko. I'm butchering that name. Sorry. I am well known for butchering the names. I have insulted the whole of the Mongolian chess Association by my pronunciation of their players' names. They informed me that in person. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's something that I've done before. So, yeah, butchering one name like this is nothing for me. It's not intentional, but and I'd very much like to pronounce it correctly. You could like set the record straight, send me a message how you want me to pronounce it. That works well for me. Okay, c5. So that's forcing queen takes b3. My understanding is that in a lot of these lines, it's really whether white can get the pawn to b5. If white can't get the pawn to b5, then then I guess it's fair game for black. But I guess now he gets the pawn to b5, right? Like say a6, b4, knight b7. Like knight d7, b4 now. It's very important that the pawn gets to b5. Because once the pawn gets to b5, if black takes, then bishop takes b5. This is a very nice structure for white. He's got obviously less pawn islands, but also he's got, well, wow, b6. Okay, so black is fighting against this idea of playing b5, but white maybe can just still do it, and he does. Maybe this could be even worse for black. b5, c takes b5, and c6, knight b8. When what's gonna happen? Bishop takes b5, maybe threatening the pawn's push to c7. No, this is very, very critical for black now. I don't see what it's supposed to do. Now, this is a very critical position. I do not see a good reply for black. If you play rook c8, then I simply take that pawn on c6, and I get bishop b5 in any case. And you are toast. There is not any other way to put it. Yeah, just take on c6. By the way, that pawn on a7 is hanging, but why would you take it? You would take on c6, most certainly. Bishop b5, rook c8, c6, 1-0. That's a free piece. Let's see whether he finds it. But it looks pretty obvious. I mean, for someone who's like 2350 online, this should be, a piece of cake. And it is. Bishop b5. It's just double checking. I guess maybe he can't believe his eyes. It's round 4. It's an epic matchup. It's the matchup for the lead, and your opponent hangs a piece like that. It's a dream. c6 and resign. There's nothing else to play after that for black. White is of course double checking, as he should, but maybe he's trying to win in an even better way. Bishop a6, by the way, is also a possibility. I just don't understand why you wouldn't play c6. c6 is a free knight on his fort, but maybe he wasn't content with just a free knight, he wanted more. Seems a bit greedy to me, but okay. You have the right to be extra greedy. You can still play c6, by the way, which is still winning a knight. So, what is this guy doing? b4? I mean, the funny thing is that there's probably no way for black to get out of this, because he's messed things up so badly for him. This c6 move is still going to come in any case. But it still can come now. Bishop c7. I think white's selling himself a little bit short here. Bishop d8, rook takes d8. And, well, I guess actually c6 and c7 still come in. So, I shouldn't criticize too much. At some point, he'll sort of run out of moves and he'll be like, oh, actually c6 is winning a piece. And he'll play it. So, yeah. It's gonna be pretty dead. Okay, we'll come back to this game because this one is dead, alright? Let's move on to board 2. Wow, what's going on? This is a total mess. It's gone completely wrong. It's like some sort of, I don't know, some sort of dragon, but a dream dragon. I mean, it's not even a dream dragon. It's like, even in your dreams, you can't think of such a good position in a dragon. You'd have to be more than a dream to get such a position in a dragon. Okay, white is still trying to go g takes h5, so there's still something that you need to be a little bit careful about. Maybe white would try bishop c4, hitting that pawn on e6. White's got to try every single threat he can find, at least. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for him to play. Bishop d3, okay. That's a possibility, but bishop e5 is a nice move. It's blocking that pawn on e5, and now queen d4 actually seems crushing. It seems that crush is going to crush white in this game. Sorry for the horrendous pawns, but yeah, it's completely crushing. Rook f2 and is dead. White has got 0 counterplay. Okay, what's the easiest win? You can even take on f1. Try for some sort of queen a1, queen b1, bishop f4. I guess I should even be winning. But queen a1 also looks convincing. Queen b1. I mean, this must be convincing. Queen c3. Gotta block it. King d1. Okay. No, it's gonna be good. Even just rook takes f1 followed by g takes h5 is completely winning that position. But maybe it's looking for more. I don't know if there's actually any more. You can take and play something like bishop f4, but then queen d3. So I think you just take on h5. It's simple and you secure a very big advantage. So why would you try to look for more? I mean, it looks really, really good already. Just take g takes h5 and that should be settled, yeah? Plays bishop f4, but this allows queen d3 maybe? Queen a1, king e2, and okay, now maybe you take on h5 and it's lost. Okay, maybe too harsh. Okay, bishop h3 still. Yeah, bishop h3 still, and it's not over just yet. King f2 is trying to secure his king. That's also fair enough. I mean, black is only a pawn up technically, so it's still a big fight. Although, of course, black has other advantages than the extra pawn. I mean, I don't, no, white cannot take because queen h5, queen e3, and queen g3 and mate, yeah? So this would be a problem, and check and mate. So that wouldn't work. Okay, bishop h2 threatening mate in one, that's humorous. But maybe queen g2, yeah? Queen g2 and now queen g7 could be an idea. King g2, what? Wow. Queen g1, king h3. This guy has no fear, but I would be very fearful indeed because after that, black can drop the bishop back. And queen h2 is a threat. This looks so dangerous. Obviously not scared of this. I think queen g2 might be the only move now. A queen e3 check, bishop f3. Oh, queen f3. Wow, this is amazing. How is one not mated yet? It's offering a draw. This is a joke. Queen c1. Can white take on h5 now? No, it can't. There's gonna be check and queen g2 mate. So that would be possible. No, of course, that's so disrespectful to offer a draw. But I love it. I love the disrespect. This is so disrespectful. Queen c2. Okay, black is obviously gonna. He's probably gonna win this game actually quite easily at some point because I don't see what white is gonna do. Yeah, in terms of creating counterplay. So if white can't create counterplay, then black can just keep creating threats until white blunders. Because in Blitz, you know, it's easy to blunder when facing these threats. Because 2 seconds increment is not enough to defend such a position. To be fair, if you have an hour, it's probably not enough either. But with 2 seconds, it's extra hard. Okay, so now there are threats like queen h1. Okay, now you can go something like, wow, queen e1. That looks good. Queen takes h4 is a big threat. Whoa, it takes on h5. No fear. Okay, so white has at least got that pawn, but black is gunning for the move queen g3 check. Queen f3 is trying to protect everything. As white is still holding on admirably, I have to say. White's defensive job here is not an enviable one, but he is doing a most impressive job of trying to hold his position. Queen g4. I mean, still lost. You play something like queen e1. Yeah, of course, black needs to keep queens if he's going to retain any sort of winning chances. Because, of course, pawn up is usually not enough in this type of opposite bishop endgames. But wow, white's getting his own threats. This is amazing. Queen d2 check, king f3, queen d1. But black is trying to get the white king on the dark square so he can check with the bishop. But white is not going to oblige. He's probably going to go king f3. Maybe he might have to repeat. No, queen d3 check, king g2. Be very careful, it's close to repetition. That's why black's checking with c2 instead of d2. But now the king can run to something like f1, right? Yes, that's what he does. Don't want to let him take on b3 with check. It's very important. Queen b1 and king g2. We are getting very close to 3-4 now. Queen a2 check. He's trying to check from weird squares, but king f1. There is nothing here. I think queen f7 is such a big threat. Black has to take the draw, which is amazing. That's just amazing defense from white. And I love the disrespect. He just had no respect for his much higher rated opponent. Completely losing position and just offers a draw and just defends like an absolute boss. Credit where credit is due. This is great defense. And now he's taking the pawn. I don't know. Black is trying to play for win, but maybe he's playing for loss actually. I don't know. Maybe he missed king f3. Actually, the king is really coming up. Bishop g4 could be a threat now. Queen d7 is a big threat. Actually, queen c8, queen b8 could be a big threat. So black should probably be the one giving potential now. Otherwise, you know, white could end up taking this game. Yeah, black should give it the potential. There's no way he can try to play this for a win. It would be reckless. It would be completely reckless to try to play this for a win. Queen d1 check. Of course, he's going to try some more checks at different squares, but I mean, it will be a perpetual. There's no real way to avoid this. King f1. That's fair enough. Is white trying to run? Maybe he shouldn't run. Wow, white is declining the draw. Talk about disrespect. That's like maximum disrespect. He's like got no respect for his high-rated opponent. Queen c3, but also I don't really see how it's possible for white to try to play this for a win. Like bishop e5 could be coming next, but that allows queen e7. Or maybe queen e7. Maybe this is good, yeah. Queen e7, king b6 though. There's no real follow-up of the king b6, and black's ready to start checking the queen g3. So white should actually be a bit careful. a5. Queen takes a5? What's going on? Queen d8 check. Wow, this is fantastic move. a5. Wow, so king c6 is the only move. Exactly, otherwise you just lose. But queen e8, this is so dangerous. Queen e8, king c7. These kids, they are so strong. Wow, but does white have a way to win this? I don't know. I don't see it. And white doesn't see it either. He's going for a draw. Okay, that's a fair result, I think. I think if I was white, I would be thrilled with a draw. Especially considering the position he had earlier, which was not at all that great. Well, the rest of the games are, I mean, a big result, of course, obviously Rahman is winning, but that was also an expected result. And yeah, there's another game where Black's up so much material that it's not even worth talking about. Alright, so yeah, very interesting standing. So Ramat's in the sole lead, and Hao Zhe of all people is it's not even 2000, but he's catching up, and this is gonna be a big matchup for the next round. Crush, Lasagna, London Rapid is a big tie for third place. So these people will also be very much in the running for the prizes. Alright, so it remains to be seen whether these players they can hold their nerve and and keep their lead. Alright, so we're gonna see some very interesting games now. We are reaching the halfway point. Once again, one last reminder, there will be no break after round 6 because I couldn't change the settings, unfortunately. But that's alright. It does mean you guys will get to play a lot of Blitz, although I might lose my voice by the end of it, which is a regrettable side effect. I'm already feeling the consequences of all my screaming. Okay, so for once we have actually a very calm opening, which is good. It means that I don't have to talk that fast. Bishop g5, castles, e3, h6. Okay, this is very typical stuff in this line. Okay. Yeah. g5, wow. Bishop g3 and what's this? Knight e4 and bishop d3 f5. This is, of course, a very conventional way for black to play. I think black is of course obviously trying to win this game. He's in the lead, the sole lead, and if he can win this game, then he will be leading by a full point. So that would be, of course, huge, considering that there are 5 rounds left. Of course, in 5 rounds anything can happen, but a full point lead is not something to be trifled with. Bishop d3. Okay, so we've got a very interesting sort of stonewall structure. It's a very typical way for high-rated players to play for win against d4. So a3, well, what's he gonna do? He could consider taking on c3, but okay, then b takes c3, and things can be risky for black as well, because of course we have a lot of dark squared weaknesses, so we have to be very careful about giving up our dark squared bishop, which is our prize piece. But I think we had to take a c3 because otherwise pawn on d5 could be in trouble. Well, queen f6 is coming up. I'm not sure what the threat is. It's not really threatening f4 because then takes and bishop h4 would actually save that bishop. So, wow, it just takes the pawn. I thought maybe white should have completed development, but no, he is much more ambitious than this. And actually, I like it. I like what it's doing. It's gone bishop e5. Knight takes c5. I don't like that move after knight takes c5. That pawn on c4 is well defended. And that bishop on d7 is attacked, among other things. Bishop e8. Well, white has options here. He can just castle. I think is what he should do, and that's what he has done. And now he can start to think about what he wants to do. He can consider something like c takes d5 followed by c4, because of course rook c3 would then hang the rook. So black has to find something, but I don't see what he can even try. I think white can even play c takes d5, rook c3, queen. Oh, but rook c3 you can play queen b2. Okay, that is an obvious move, and it's also a very strong move, yeah? Sometimes in chess, the best move is just the simplest one, and that's exactly what he's done. Honestly, I think Howard just played an amazing game to this point. I'm not sure whether he should have taken on e4, though. I feel like this changing pawn structure seems to help black a little bit, because then he can try to play f4 and create some chances on the king's side. But of course, white is creating his own traps. He's playing queen b3. He might go for c5 or d5, and that's what he does. He's trying to open up the center and just win in a normal way, which is the best way to try to win this. I think you just maybe just take on e6, and after queen e6 you play c5. That looks extremely convincing to me, because in the end game black will have no more chances to play this. But d6 is even more ambitious and most certainly an even better move. Rook d7 c5. I love how Hauser has just no respect for his opponent, but he does allow f3. So, it's... I guess actually it's fine, because whatever, you don't need to deal with this. You don't want to play g3 and weaken that square on g2. I think white should just make some normal move, like, I don't know, rook fd1 for instance, because fg2 is not that big of a deal. Because fine, you get these line squares, but the pawn on g2 is really blocking your own attack. With the pawn on g2, it'd be very, very hard for black to create like any sort of attacking chances. And I really like what he's done. He played c4. He's ignoring it, but black is trying to force it. He's trying to go queen g4. So black's getting some unnecessary chances. I'm not sure what should have allowed this. Yeah. Okay. Queen b5, but queen g4 though. Queen g4 is mate, right? What's going on? Did he miss queen g4 or what? No, this is tragic. It was so winning earlier, and in just 2 moves time, he's managed to mess it up. And that's really the pain of playing chess, really, because you can play a great game, but then make a one move blunder, and now he's gonna get mated. If he plays g3, then queen h3, and queen g2 is mate. So that is unfortunately how the game is gonna end, which means that Ramat, after blundering literally everything that can be blundered, is somehow going to be leading this tournament by a full point. And, well, let's move on to board 2, where Crush is having a big battle against Rui-Yang. So, 5 pawns each. It's a mess. That pawn on d5 is actually pretty weak. But, okay, now there's a trade, and white can take on b6. So, white's going to be pressing this, most certainly. Rook b5, and I guess black's plan will be to try to push his kingside pawns, but I'm not sure about rook b5. Maybe black should have tried to move f4 instead. But now, it's going to be a bit harder for black to push these pawns on the kingside, because he can't play f4 that easily. Oh, okay, that was an abrupt end. I was not expecting that. And now, that's an easy win for white. Okay, what else is there? Well, how is London doing? h6. Wow. The rook was almost trapped, but it was not trapped. And now it's a draw. It's a draw, yeah? It's king g6, and once the king gets in front of these pawns, it's a draw. Doesn't matter that white has 2 pawns, because they are very much double pawns. So that's one of white's biggest issues, that, you can't really do much with the double pawns. Rook f4, we can just play like rook d1 or rook d5 is also very good. Pretty much anything is good in this position. Just have to be careful, of course. Yeah. So, yeah, don't play something like rook g5, because rook g4 would actually be winning endgame. But if you avoid the rook trade, then there's really nothing to worry about in these type of positions. So this one's going to take some time, but I don't think it's that interesting. Let's see if there's anything else that's interesting that's going on. Okay. So we have some interesting middle games, but wow. What is this? So white here is here white's a P star, bishop d3 is almost crushing, bishop c4. Okay. Wow. Wait, that was Ritesh? So Ritesh is going down. Wow. This is a tournament of upsets. There's so many upsets in this tournament. It's ridiculous. Yeah. All the strong players seem to be going down somehow. And wow, there's some crazy game here. Abdul Rahman against Ian Po. He has to play bishop takes c4. Cannot play f takes c4, because then f3 would be an issue. So bishop takes c4. And now what's the rook d8 hitting this pawn? Now what's Ian Po going to do? He's going to play rook d1 or something. Could also consider playing some sort of check, or even d5. I think actually this position is very interesting, because black seems to be having some sort of attack, but there's also a pawn down. So it's not that easy also. Okay, I like what black's doing. He's trying to play bishop e6 and target the pawn on h3. I'm not sure about a3. Now bishop e6 is coming. This is getting very dangerous for white, because now queen h5 is the biggest threat. What are you going to do? Maybe you have to play d5. It's not the move you want to play, but you might have to do it. Or maybe it is the move you want to play after all. d5, You would force the bishop back, and then I was gonna lose some time. Oh no, he didn't see how to stop queen h5. Oh no, that is tragic. Alright, let's see what else is going on. 9 more games. But London is still gonna try to win this position, but it's not going to be that easy. Okay, what else is going on? Well, we've got Tristan Safer against Type Reap. Rook h5. I think black should be... What? Did he have to do that? No, I don't think he had to do that. King f4 maybe, still retains some chances. King f3, rook f5 though. Rook f4 takes and king g2. It's a draw. It's a draw. No, oh, it's also a draw. It's also a draw. Rook g3 and that pawn is lost. Okay, we might see some humorous version that g2 takes and rook h4. Okay, it's a draw obviously, and yeah, and trade pieces and draw will be agreed. Wow, this is indeed very exciting. Yeah. So, what do we have here at top of the standings? We have Rama, who was on 6 out of 6, but in the next round, he's probably going to play against either Crush or STN. I'm hoping he plays against Crush. This will be an epic battle because, of course, Crush will have to win this game if he's going to stay anywhere close to Rama. Yeah, and then he will be down to the Sonnenberger scores to separate them. So, the rest of the guys, they're a little bit behind, but they have chances still, considering that there are only 5. There are still 5 more rounds, so still everything to play for, most certainly. Well, in the remaining games, not so much to play for. Smurf is getting crushed. And, well, how is London doing? Oh, this is a draw. It's of course a draw. But there will be some trying. I don't understand why I didn't play rook e3 check. No, this is interesting. You can... but it's not so easy because king e6 is going to be rook a6 check. No, you have to have the king on g6. But okay, now you just wait. You just wait. This is very typical Philidor. Don't move the rook back because that king g6 and it gets hard to draw that. You just keep your rook on the 6th rank and it's a draw. This one we learned in kindergarten. Yeah, we call this kindergarten endgames because it's the type of thing that, you know, it's like the ABCs of chess. Yeah, it's the stuff you learn when you're like 5 years old. If you were 5 years old when you were playing chess. Well, I wasn't 5 years old when I started playing chess. I was only 8, so I learned these endgames when I was 8. So it's the thing you learn in your first years of studying chess, and of course, black is gonna know this defensive method. The kids these days are very good at endgames, so and it shows in their results as well. It's actually quite hard to beat them nowadays. So, okay, and this is just draw. You just keep the king card on the 6th rank, and draw will be agreed very, very soon. Yeah, just rook g7 or rook f6 even and take the pawn. And it's dead. I want it to be funny, you could just keep the king, cut and ask white to make progress, because white can't. Okay, so this is going to be a draw. Alright, that's good. Not going to be playing rook against rook, which is good. Yeah, we're not going to have that kind of disrespect in my tournament. That is great. So, okay, 5 more rounds to go, and it's 9:09. So, yeah, hopefully we can get it done by 10 p.m. That would be the that would be the ideal thing. So 5 more rounds. Hopefully we finish by 10. And then we can all go back. But before that, we gotta catch up with this game. Crush against Raman Danitno. And this is going to decide it. Yeah? This is going to decide who wins the championship most likely. So we're gonna see who is gonna win this. Okay. So this is interesting. Crush has played the poke, his favorite poke. And Raman is not holding back. He's played h4. Crush has stopped it with h5. And I realize Crush likes to do this. He likes to flip the poke and play c5. And wait a second. How can white take on d4? Can he even take on d4? He might have, I was going to say he might have to take with the queen because knight d4, e5, yeah? Because now e5, white's plan will be to play bishop takes e5. But of course it looks very dodgy. Because, of course, the queen's on the same diagonal as this bishop. So, yeah, maybe there's no real way to exploit it. Crush just hits the queen, goes back, and bishop g4. And I think Crush has a good position now. Yeah, I think he's got what he wants. Because now it's going to be hard for white to push pawn to g4 with that bishop standing on g4 all the way. And it's going to be hard to kick this bishop without like moving your pieces all the way back. So, white, I think, is a little bit stuck at the moment. But at the same time, black still needs some time to create any sort of attacking chances. I'm just thinking, is there knight takes e4 now? Is there knight takes e4? Is that the thing? Knight takes e4, queen takes a2 threatens mate on a1. Then maybe there was just c3. So c3 would have defended it. So he plays rook c8, which is the standard way to play these type of things. Is there knight b4 anyway? Maybe not. Yeah, this is a3, and if knight e4, then it's gonna be queen d4. So that doesn't work. If it's knight e5, okay. Not so sure about that. I guess it's gonna play d takes e5. Okay, well, it's gonna play f3 and try for g4 somehow, but no, I'm not sure about that. Maybe bishop b6, yeah. a3 b. Or maybe a3 didn't see a good way to continue. So queen e5. But now f3 is gonna come, right? Bishop g4, I'm not sure. Or maybe it takes an f3. Maybe this is very good after all. Knight f6. But I think this is White's plan. Wow, he plays queen d4. That's unexpected because I think this endgame is nice for Black, right? You can play something like rook c5, which he does. He can double and then play for some sort of b5, a5, and push these queenside pawns. My understanding is that these endgames are always very nice for Black, and trying to trade off queens and make a draw in Sicilian is not a thing. And I mean, this is not a Sicilian, but it is a Sicilian pawn structure. Okay, 95 takes. It is still within drawing margins, but I think White is... Okay, that's very strange. That is actually a bit of a strange decision to me, but maybe Black is banking on his ability to bring his king quickly. And I'm not sure about the move c4 at all. It just weakens the square on d4, right? f4 is going to play something like, whoa, king e6? But I don't know. I thought he should play e5 and try. Because this, I think, White's going to get king d3, and I don't see how Black's going to be able to make progress. Because the whole point was with the White king so far away, it's going to be hard for Black. It was going to be hard for him to get his king closer, but now everything's going to get closed up, and White is going to get a draw, which is huge because that means that he's still going to be a half-point elite at minimum. That's if his other chaser doesn't win his game, and it could even be a full point. And he's also made a draw against his biggest rival, which is Crush. So this is obviously a big result. Of course, still 4 more rounds to go, so we'll see. Everything to play for. How is STN doing? STN is the only guy who can get within half a point of the guy whose name I can't pronounce and whose name I will not attempt to pronounce. I don't want to get into other trouble with for it. I've already got in trouble with the Mongolian Chess Federation. I don't want to get into trouble with the Indonesian Chess Federation. No thank you. No thank you. Queen g4. No, actually Black is doing well in this game, no? Queen g4, and there's gonna be some sort of knight h4, knight f4 sighting. Depending on where the bishop goes. If the bishop goes back this way, then it's gonna be knight h4, yeah? And there could be some issues with the pawn on g2. And no, you do not want to push h4, but then what are you supposed to do? If you play queen d2, then the pawn on e4 hangs. Wow, this is really, really, really nasty for White. What is White supposed to do? Maybe he needs to play queen d2, takes and like try to take this guy, but it looks so dodgy. It doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't feel right. Bishop e3, but now knight h4 is big. It's massive. It's a massive move. G3 is only move at this point. I don't know why he's thinking. Perhaps he didn't see knight h4 at all, which to me looks very strange. It's the first one that I would consider. G3, and now how is Black supposed to play this? I'm not sure. Okay, so I can give a check on f3, king g2, and I feel like I'll need to bring my rook in somehow, but it's not that easy. Maybe I can consider something like knight e7, queen d6, queen e4. That could be interesting, but knight e7, maybe you can go queen d3. Oh, still not easy to win this. It's not that easy to win this. Knight f3, check king g2, only move. You cannot allow me to get queen h3. You know what I'll do? I'll check on f3 first. I don't mind giving a check on h4 and making one repetition. Then after that, I'll decide. Because I don't really see any easy way to make progress. King g1. So how are we supposed to make progress? It's not so easy. I don't really see a great way to make progress, as funny as that sounds, because it looks so good for Black, no? Now f3 check. Is he going to take the draw? Well, he's going to take a draw now, right? No, it's going to be draw. Okay. And he's going to take the draw. Why are they repeating so many times? Do they not have like the 3-4 repetition? They do not have the 3-4 enabled, do they? They're going to repeat like a million times. So yeah, so repeat 5 times, and yeah, that's the draw. So that means that Raman is going to be leading by a full point. I made a blunder again. I should not have attempted to pronounce his name. No, that was a blunder. Okay, how are the other guys doing? Let's hope that they are blundering more, because that of course means great content. No, I thought that was a blunder, but it was not a blunder. You can still drop back bishop e3. Okay, black is doing well here. That pawn is gonna push to c2. And it's not that easy for white to play this. No, white is actually down 2 pawns. Oh, that means he's dead lost then. Rook d5, bishop d5, and the pawn on b3 is going to hang on top of all his problems. Now just rook c6, protect that pawn. And that pawn on b3 is going to drop. What's he going to do about it? Bishop d4, just push to c2. That bishop b3 followed by rook d6 is a big move. What? Why did he allow him to take? Why did they play c2? I don't understand a thing about chess anymore, do I? Take it, and bishop d3 is a draw. So you have to move the rook somehow. No, this is a draw. Oh, how did he mess that up? That is madness. That is madness. How do you mess this one up? No way. G5 takes. No, this is an easy draw. Bishop d8. Yes, good technique. Oh, this guy has good technique. Yeah. These guys, they are from ACT. These ACT guys, they have great technique. Their old coach taught them very well indeed. They're very good at endgames. And he's just going to keep the bishop on this diagonal. This is very good technique. Yeah. It's a technique that I would use myself. Yeah. I'll be happy to use this technique myself. And I'm very impressed. He seems to know this well. And this is going to be dead. Yeah. King f3, bishop d6, whatever. Yeah. And take the pawn. And draw. Wow. How did that happen? Alright. So, what else is going on? Let's see, are there any other interesting games? Well, we have Tristan, who is dead loss against TL. TL is going to score an upset here. Oh, who's going to score an upset? I don't know. Who's black, who's white? No, Tristan is going to win. So no upsets here. King h4. Pawn's going to push. No, this is too easy. It's too easy. You just play g4, king h3, push and push and push and push and push. You just do this same method at infinitum. King h3, and it's too late for black to do anything. King g2, and you just push pawn to g3, and it's dead. White is so dead. If king e2, you can even just bring the rook back, just not to allow any sort of nasty tactics. King e2, and don't allow rook to g3, bring a rook back, exactly. And now your time to check, and you know how to win this. Everybody knows how to win this. Even everyone's grandmother also knows how to win this. G2, king g1, and then you go for the Lucena position. Everybody's grandma knows how to win this one, do they? Just g2, and it's dead. Check. Actually, can't even go king g3 now, because rook is so far away. King h3, and king g4. And rook moves, rook f4. And rook moves actually, wait. This is actually tricky. No, you have to bring the king back to g3, I think. Because you can't go this, because then once check and this, then takes and king f2 is a draw. So you have to bring your king back. Well, sometimes there's no reason to, avoid... There's no reason to, let your pride take over your decision making. Because it's... Well, I mean, it's still okay. Yeah, this is still okay. You just bring your king back on g1. Yeah, this is fine. This is still fine. You put your king back on g1, and then you do the typical stuff that you learned in primary school. Or actually in kindergarten. This is another kindergarten endgame. This and the Philidor position are what I call the kindergarten endgames. It's all the kids from kindergarten that don't know how to play chess. Well, they might not know how to play chess, but they know how to win this position. That's the thing. Okay, so next plan is, of course, you play rook f7 and give it check this way. Yeah. The point is you don't want to check on e5 that early, because maybe king f3 could be an issue, yeah? So, yeah, I think I would have kept the rook on this file, because now check, and if king f3, then king f1. I would have kept the rook on this file, because then this would actually work very nicely for white. But, okay, now you can give a check on f5, and that's gonna... Oh, no, this fine, no, it's fine. It's rookie one, I thought you blundered, wait, no. Rookie one, it's still winning, okay. Yeah, and it's lost. Okay. I would have given a check on f5, but it's still lost anyways. Alright, and... I got a shock there. I thought he blundered mate, but no, of course he didn't. No, these guys are good at endgames. They're not gonna blunder mate. Okay, what else is going on? Not much else. Well, there is really 2 exercises in how to convert 2 queens against a king. We will not indulge these players. The win is gonna happen. Yeah, so we'll see. So, I mean, obviously everything to play for. Ramat did know. It's really a question of anyone if anyone can really catch him. But if they can't, then there will be good money for all the other guys who are getting second and third and beyond too. So it's not like they're just playing for, yeah, not like they're just playing for nothing. Yeah, there are prizes for the other players as well, and there are prizes for the kids as well. So the kids who are playing well will be very much rewarded. Yeah, there are 3 prizes for under 18s and 3 prizes for under 12s. So don't be upset if you're in the 20th position or something, because that means that if you guys do well in the last 3 rounds, then it could be really good for you. But anyway, back to this game, because STN is up against Raman, and I'm not gonna pronounce his name. Raman. We're calling Raman from now on. Well, if Raman can win this game, it'll be big, of course. I think he will almost secure the championship, because there wouldn't be enough rounds and his opponents would be more than a point behind. But if STN wins this would mean that the tournament is now wide open again. So it's obvious that STN needs to go all in for this game. After Bishop G4, he's going to play Bishop E2 and castles. Okay, this is a possible way to play against the Scandi. It's a, of course, very solid option for white. I feel like if you're a Scandi player, you shouldn't be too upset about this development. A sense, because this is what you want in Scandi, sort of a solid position which is playable and where you've got your own chances in a slightly imbalanced position. So castles, there are no real discovered attacks with the bishop, which is right. So maybe white should play some like h3. He does that, and black has a decision. Does he take on f3? Well, white takes back on f3, and actually this is a very interesting setup for white, because in a lot of these Scandi positions, if white pushes to d4, the pawn on d4 becomes the target for black to attack. So by putting the pawn on d3, it's leaving black with less targets to attack. But the thing is that, of course, that black does get more control over the center. He can potentially play move like e5 in the future to stake out full control of the center. So it, of course, has its pros and cons. Such an idea. But knight b5 is actually a good idea, because now bishop c6, and you have to play b takes c6, which is a big concession, considering that a black king is on this side of the board. But the good news for black is that, of course, it's not that easy for white to attack. And actually, I think white should maybe have played knight e3 and put the knight on c4. So I think the knight on c4 would be better placed to create an attack, maybe some sort of knight e5 or rook e5 coming up. But now, black is going to try to start his own attack, and this is absolutely right, because white has put his king on the king side as well, and black also has a right to create his own attack. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to try to push g5, g4, and white's stopping it. Split queen f3. So he's tying black down to this knight, making sure that it's not going to be easy to play g5 because knight hangs. But that's why rook h6, the rook protects the knight. So now black renews the threat of playing g5. So what is white going to do? This is, I think, it's heating up. Actually, knight e4 could be interesting. Knight takes, and rook takes c4. And there could be others like rook to c4, rook a4, f7 pawn could be hanging. White's going for queen trade. Actually, I don't mind this decision, because I think in the end games, it will be quite pleasant for white with these weaknesses on the queen side. Of course, it won't be easy for white to win, but I think it will be pleasant. Now, queen b6, maybe white can insist on this, play knight a4, and plays rook b1. And perhaps this allows black to do something like knight d5, maybe? Not sure. But, of course, white is not going to take on d5. He's going to just move his queen and, keep the pressure. What white needs to do in these situations is to keep putting on the pressure, because if he can exert enough pressure, then then black's long-term issues like his weak king, they're going to start to play a role. Certainly queen d2. But that being said, I feel like white's play has been quite passive recently, so I'm not sure. Knight e4, I feel like black is getting some of his ideas in, although it's still not easy to get the attack going. Maybe one idea for black could be e5, threatening knight f4, because I really want to get knight f4 in as a move. Knight f6, I'm not sure. Now, I get that black thinks that with trading knights, it'll be harder for white to attack the weakness, which is true. Now, but wow, knight g5 hits that pawn on f7. It's an interesting move, of course, because it feels a little bit loose. But it does hit that pawn and force black to defend it. That being said, I'm not sure it does all that much, apart from that. And well, what is white's idea gonna be? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what knight is doing on g5. It feels a bit misplaced. Maybe white should, I don't know, maybe white should try to play something like b4, a4, and try to create his own attack this way. Something like that. But he has to be a bit careful that queen b5 is not a thing. Yeah. Maybe b4 is possible. Queen b5, you just drop the knight back to e4 and just play it. Play such a position. It's played a4, okay. So that allows queen c5, yeah. So it's stopping queen b5, but what black can still put his queen on the 5th rank, hit that knight. White is unperturbed, he just plays h4, protecting that knight. Wow. Rook d4, okay. Black is starting to get his threats in. He's threatening rook takes h4. Okay, so things are really starting to heat up now. What is white gonna do? Does he play g3? No, he plays b4. Very active defense, but this allows black to play queen f5. Yeah, this is of course a bit double-edged. He plays queen d5. Also a very tempting move. He is pointing his pieces at the white king. Rook takes h4 is now a big threat. Maybe g3 might be the only move, but of course it's quite weakening. But can black exploit this is the question. That's why I actually like queen f5 a little bit more, because maybe then there would be knight d5 ideas. But okay, this also looks quite playable for black, but I feel like black should be accurate here, but I don't really see what it's supposed to do, actually. Not that easy to find a great reply for black. What's he gonna do? Not sure. And time is ticking. Plays e5. Thinking of e4, I reckon. White's stopping this. Queen e3, but that allows knight g4. Queen f3 hitting this. Is that so good though? Maybe black can play f6. By the way, if black can force... Oh, but f6, maybe white wants to play queen takes d5. Because c takes d5 might help black improve his structure, but no, it actually helps him lose his rook. So, after f6, queen e5, black has to take with the rook. And then white can play knight e4 and use that square on c5. So actually, I think white would be quite happy in that situation. Rook f6. Very interesting stuff. So queen d5. Wait, is stuff trapped? f3? Is stuff getting trapped? f3. This is very serious for black. Knight f6 and white can take that pawn on e5. That's a big pawn to take. That's a very big pawn to take. And what is black gonna have for that pawn? I don't know. White's gonna just grab that pawn. It's also amazing for black that somehow his rook on d4 is not trapped. Well, f6 is a threat. Okay, that's logical, certainly. That I feel like white should have ways to deal with this. Let's see, what can he do? We can meet f6 with rook e6. So maybe something like king f2, and if f6, rook e6. Could that be an idea? The rook on g6 is still hanging. You can't play f takes g5. So maybe that's what he does. Wow, that is a strong move. f6, rook e6 is his idea. He's playing great chess, isn't he? Because now he's keeping all these pawns protected. And it's not easy for black to do much. What is black supposed to do? King d7, just move the rook away. Don't allow any sort of rook takes g5 tactics. These Indonesians are very tricky. You must never let them get their tactics in. That's the most important thing. But maybe he can play something like knight f5 and try to get some threats in. Okay, that's what he does. Knight f5, still not that easy. Because also he had to deal with this threat of king e3, hitting that rook. So this very nicely sidesteps that. Maybe there could be f4, trying to trap that rook on d4 with some sort of knight f3. Maybe that is the way to go. Actually, how are you supposed to deal with that move? f4. Knight f3 is killing. Knight f3 is a killing move. How do you deal with that? That rook is dead. That rook on d4 is so dead. There is no way to deal with that rook. There is nothing to do. If he finds a defense, I will be very impressed. But as of now, it seems to me he's losing a full rook. Knight f5. Okay, he's probably going to get an exchange for it, but it's still lost. c3, knight f5, and just rook g1, yeah? And black's pieces are completely stuck. Can even push b5 now. And now take that pawn on a7. And Ramat's going to go down, and the tournament's going to be wide open again. Now everyone's going to have a fair chance. b6. b6 is game over. a5 is also strong enough. I mean, it's winning it in many, many ways. Check and a6 looks like a convincing way. Rook g1. Okay, that's fair enough. He just doesn't want to allow black even the slightest chance. The rook on g6 is completely stuck. There's rook c7 check, I guess. King b8 and rook c... No, not rook c6 because knight e4. Rook a1. Okay, that's fair move. That's a fair enough move. Knight b5. Okay, black is still fighting. Black is fighting. It's not giving up, but rook c5 is a strong move. Rook takes b6, then rook b1, and the knight gets trapped. Gets pinned. So that's over. Knight d6, again not rook c6 because knight e4. Black is still fighting. He's got lots of tactical tricks. But white is being very careful. To his credit, white is being very, very careful. And now I think b7. No, b7 actually there's no threat, yeah? Maybe you can do something like king f3, threatening rook c6. Okay, instead rook d7. This is also very clean. Now b7. Now b7 is finished. b7 resigns. That's gonna lose the knight. And black has to resign. What a finish. What a finish. Just take the knight. There's no stalemate. There's still the g-pawn. Still the g-pawn on the board and the d-pawn. There is no stalemate. And queen and checkmate. Alright. Fantastic, fantastic chess here. Really fantastic. What else is going on? What is this crazy game going on? But I guess rook takes f4, h5. What's going on? Rook takes g7. No, this is draw. Rook takes h4. He had to try h5 and try to play that guy. And try to play that on. Because this is the dead draw, of course. It's a dead draw. Please don't play this one on. Please. I'm going to lose respect for these guys. They play this on too long. No, don't play this on. No, don't. Just don't. Don't. Just agree a draw. No, don't. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't learn from these lousy GMs. Alright, we're not gonna look at this. We're not gonna support this because this is not chess, alright? So we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back for the next round, alright? So quick ad break. Yeah, I mean not all of you guys are gonna see ads, but I guess some of you will. We'll see. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. ECT, did I say ECT? I think I did. Okay, so thank you to all of you guys for supporting the stream, by the way. It's been of course a blast, and I can see the next round is ongoing, so yeah, let's head straight to it, shall we? Okay, so are they still playing this on? Seriously? No, don't tell me they're still playing this on. No, they're still playing this on. They're delaying everybody. What are these guys doing? No, but you see this in Titled Tuesday. I think what happens is that these players, they are learning from the guys in Titled Tuesday. But come on, you know, if you're going to learn from the guys in Titled Tuesday, there's so many brilliant games. You shouldn't learn this sort of rook versus rook. It's not chess. You know, in the past, you were part of the Russian school of chess. You know, I had some Russian coaches, and I would be scolded if I were doing this in a game. I would be scolded. I would be very much scolded if I were to do this. Because it's disrespectful. Disrespectful to your opponent, and it's disrespectful to all the people who are waiting. So don't try to play this on. And also, by the way, I have seen games where player who is trying to play on in these end games actually loses. Okay? So they try to play too much, and then they actually blunder their rook and lose. And that's what we call karma. Yep. Next time we're gonna make it like 5+0. So none of this nonsense is gonna happen. If you're gonna try to flag this, then like flag it. But you can't flag people with like, yeah, with like with 2 seconds on the ball of the. You get 2 seconds with every move. What's supposed to flag? I don't know. Ridiculous. All right. Finally, the 50 move rule came in, and the madness has stopped. Okay. So next round starting soon. This round is going to decide everything. Going to decide the standings. So let's see who's gonna play who. We're gonna have Crush against CBA. By the way, there's a 4-way tie between Crush, Rama, Psycho, and STN. And actually, Crush has the higher tiebreak, but there are still 3 more rounds to play. So you know, there's still games to play, and some of these guys are going to end up losing. So it's gonna be a mess. Right. Let's look at the Rama game. Actually, Rama's against Rayon, but there are no moves. So d4, d5, okay. Bishop f4. Rama's going for the London. It's also something that the Indonesians play. With the white pieces, the Indonesians are actually quite versatile. They play a lot of stuff. With black, it's usually either like King's Indian or Slav, from my opinion. Yeah, from what I see, it is one of these things, or like they either like some sort of fianchetto or they like some sort of Sicilian. Yeah, against e4. So, but with white, it's usually a bit more versatile. So e takes e4. Now a6 is very important to stop knight b5. Yeah, we can also go bishop g4 actually. Maybe it's even better. You just go bishop g4 and because knight b5 rook c8. Yeah, so there's no need to be afraid of any of this. Knight b5 rook c8 and okay, so what's white supposed to do? Maybe some sort of bishop e2. But then black has a very simple play. Goes e6, goes bishop e7, castle, and at some point even queen b6. Or even actually e6, bishop b4 is possible. I don't like bishop takes f3. You could have taken an f3 at any moment, so why do it now? Bishop takes f3 was always possible. But now you give white some options like knight e2, which could protect this pawn on d4. Yeah, bishop d6, that's fair enough. Now, Ringan is of course a very, very solid player. He may not have the most ambitious openings, and that is an understatement, but he is very, very solid. And his plan is to outplay his opponents in the middle game. And to be fair, he is mostly playing under 12 tournaments where that works a charm because his opponents would have blundered a piece by now, and he would be well on his way to win the game. Okay, queen d7, castle is gonna happen, I guess, after this. c4. Okay, this is interesting. White is trying to push to c5. What happens if d takes c4? That is the key question. Maybe white is going to play d5, as crazy as that looks. But I'm not sure whether that's good, though. That could be like knight e5 as a possibility. So I'm not sure whether this is any good. That knight on b5 is still hanging. I think black has to take on c4. If not, then white's going to push pawn to c5 and get a nice position with knight d6, etc. So black, I think, has to accept the challenge, take that pawn, and, just go for it. Because you can't really let white get away with such bold ideas. Because I don't think actually it's bold, it's more like reckless ideas. It can't possibly work, can it? Maybe after dc4 he doesn't want something like d5, just wants something like queen e2. Which then we would castle and let him take and then play rook fd8. And he would have a great position. Yes, he's taken it. He is pretty principled as a player, Rayon. And that is good. Because to be a strong player, you have to be willing to take the principled decisions. You have to be willing to take some risk when it matters. And he is taking some risk when it matters in this game. And next move probably is... Actually, it's threatened to be a6. So what is his idea? If queen e2, then a6 is going to kick the knight. Followed by b5. It's a bit risky, of course, to not develop this way. And maybe we could run into some d5 ideas. But it's more double-edged than anything. I'm not so sure it's that good for white. Rook c1. It's almost begging for a6 to be played now, isn't it? Oh, no. I was going to say we wanted bishop c6, queen c6, rook c4. But no, queen takes b5. So that doesn't work. So a6, he will have to drop the knight back to c3. And then the principal move will be to play b5. And yes, that knight on c6 is a little bit loose, but it's not going to be that easy to exploit it. Knight a3. Okay, this is interesting because in b5, now his idea is he wants b3 to hit that pawn and you can't take because the knight is loose. Okay, firstly, you don't actually have to do anything too drastic. You can even just castle, and after knight takes c4, there will be queen takes d4. And rook takes c4, of course, leads all of white's pieces very awkwardly placed. Yes, very, very solid play. And this is actually, I think, what Rayon is very good at. Very, very solid play. Very good chess. I've been looking at a lot of his games recently, and he is a good player. Yeah, if he was actually a bit faster in his decisions, he would be a formidable player. But I can see he's working on that. He's trying to play a bit faster in his games. And he's making an active effort to do this, which is exactly what he needs to do. Yeah, so credit where credit is due. He's really improving very fast. So what's he going to do now? The queen takes d4 looks like the move. If takes, knight takes d4, then... Oh, wow, I just played rook d8. Maybe even better, because how is white supposed to defend this pawn? No, this is good, but I only can play knight e5, yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it still should be nice for black. Certainly black has no problems here. A queen d4, knight c6, obviously, but maybe you can just play knight takes c5, takes and like some sort of queen move, queen b5 or something. This looks nice. This looks very nice for black. What is white supposed to do now? Maybe some queen. White has to move the queen. That's clear. He can't sack the queen. Maybe something like queen e2, but black can take now, and then he has options, yeah. Actually, even rook d2 there is not out of the question. The end of that line. Although there are probably more solid options. You probably take and play knight d5, and black is doing very well, of course. Next for rook c8, and black's got no problems at all. So, I mean, balls and white's caught now. What's he gonna do? I think queen e2 has to be played, right? What else is there gonna be? It's gotta be queen e2. You gotta protect that. Queen e2, bishop e2. Oh, he does go for rook d2. Okay, okay. So, this is, of course, the principled option. So, it's gonna lead to some very interesting play. E takes f6, there's gonna be rook takes e2. And the pawn on b2 is gonna be hanging. So, this is the most principled line. Of course, the thing is that white is, of course, a bit ahead on the clock. But Rayon is good when it comes down to these time scrambles. Yeah, he can usually hold his own. He's not the best in time scrambles, but he seems to hold his own. Like we saw in the previous edition of this tournament, where he actually got second place, amazingly. Yeah, I think it was the first edition of this event where he got second place. Yeah, and he beat Ritesh in the last round in very convincing way. Bishop takes a6, black's got to play b takes a6, right? E takes f6, rook takes b2, and okay, I think black's still slightly more comfortable at the end of those lines. It's not something very big, but actually, can you play g takes f6 if you're really ambitious? No, but then rook c6, yeah? So you do play rook takes b2, I guess. No, he does this, interesting. Rook c6 is on the board. a5, this is ambitious. Black is trying, of course, play this very much for win. Rook c8 and rook c2 is coming up. You know, I'm actually warming to black's strategy. It looks good. Rook c2. Those rooks are very nice. They are very strong. Take on b4, I guess. You gotta take on b4, right? I mean, a4 looks a bit too much. Rook c3. Okay, that's fair enough. You cannot play rook a1 because rook takes a3. B takes a5, rook a3, a6, and you put the other rook on a2. Oh, this is unpleasant. Raya's gonna press this all the way. He's gonna press this. a4. Wow, what is this? But he can still play like rook a3, yeah? No, okay, he does this. And he plays the other rook to a2. Okay, this is good. This is very good. He's going to win that pawn on a4, and it's going to be very, very sad for white. Yeah, this rook da2. I guess white can hold this with best play, but it's gonna be miserable try. Maybe rook h4, that's the way. You play rook h4 and you try to get this repetition. King g7, rook g4, king h6. Rook g4, king g6. Can you even get out of this? This is amazing, actually. Maybe there's no way to get out of this repetition. Maybe it is a draw after all. There's no way to get out of this. King h6, but rook h4 still. King g6, rook g4. You can't really get out of this repetition, can you? I'm not sure about rook f4, but I guess he should be still working. No, I'm not sure what he's doing. Is white trying to play for a win? This is ridiculous. How can white try to play this for a win? Now white's going to be suffering. No, when you do something that is impossible, you will be punished for it in chess. And the punishment will be a long, drawn-out defense for white. And this is unpleasant. It's not what white was signing up for. But I guess he was also tilted from his previous games. King g7, h5. Okay, h4 is a threat, so maybe you might have to play h4 yourself. Wait, can black play h4? But h4, maybe g takes h4. It's not that simple, is it? Oh, he does it! G takes h4, wow. G takes h4, what's his plan? Like, king h6, rook h8. So, rook h6, oh, g4. No, this cannot be right. F takes g4, takes. And now what? Maybe some sort of rook h6 trying to push that pawn. I don't know, still a lot of play left in the position. Rook f6, king g2. But it's just so easy. h3. Okay, white needs to probably try to hold this, yeah? He doesn't take the pawn. He plays king g3. It's actually quite smart. h2 is going to be rook a1. And it's just about holding. He's going to play rook h1. Now, I think he'll hold the draw. Rook h1 is going to be a draw now. No, he's going to hold this. Just about hold this. Takes, king g5, king g3. And white will hold draw. Wow. So, very interesting game. I think black was pressing for quite a bit in this game, actually. So, pretty good game by Rayon. But to be fair, white was defending pretty well. And I guess the draw was a fair result. Still more play, but I think f6, if you go king g3, it's dead, yeah? If e4, then f4 check, forcing on pawn, and it's an easy draw. Yeah, king g3, e4, f4, and there's nothing better than to shake hands there. Just f4. Yeah. What? What is black doing? No, what is he even doing? No, maybe f5 is still drawing, right? f5 takes king e3. Okay, this is still a draw. King e2, yeah, takes. Why should I play king e3, of course, but it's still a draw, of course. This is a very easy draw. It's an elementary draw. Another one of those kindergarten endgames, I like to say. Yeah, of course, White could have got it the other way, where he had the extra pawn, but it would have been a draw in any case. Okay, Black's gonna try to press this for a few more moves, which he is justified doing, after all. Yeah, but this is not going to end any other way than a draw. So let's go and see if there are any other games going on. Oh, this is the last one. And fittingly enough, I would say, it's the last one. So what are the standings going to look like after this draw? Well, Ramat is going to be on 7, Not Lasagna is going to be 7, and Psycho is going to be tied with Crush. This is going to be pretty epic, actually. This is going to be very epic. Psycho is going to be tied with Crush. And this is going to be an epic showdown. You see the two of these guys for the tournament lead. But okay, of course, these two guys are probably going to face off as well. I'm not sure whether they've played each other yet. They might have played each other. But in any case, it will be a big matchup. So, no players on full points. Actually, all players have had at least a point and a half taken from them. Okay. So, let's go. Crush against Abdul Rahman. So this one is, I mean, Crush is going for his favorite opening. I'm surprised Crush isn't playing the other guy who was tied with him. Maybe they've already played. But these pairings, they are very strange. D takes C5, okay. Not sure about that. I think if I was White, I would wait with something like Knight C3. These are interesting. A5. Just trying to take back without allowing B4. That is interesting. It's possible. It's what Black did in a previous game against Crush. And actually got a decent position, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Castles, Knight C3. All very standard stuff. Is D4 possible? No, D4, Knight A4. That's a typical trap. So, Black's not going to fall for that. What have I done? I just jinxed it, haven't I? It's the commentator's curse. Knight A4. Wait, is there some way that Black can make this work? Knight A4, D takes C3, Knight takes C5, E takes F2, King takes F2, Queen B6. Is that so easy? Maybe just Bishop D4 there. Huh? Maybe that still works really, really well. Okay, so I guess this is still very good for yeah, Knight A4. I'm just saying that Black's not going to play that move, and now he does. Okay, Bishop A7 is of course not the way. Knight takes D4, and White is cruising. Well, it's really cruising in this game. Extra pawn, good position. Okay, we'll come back to this game. Because we'll go straight to board number 2, because Psycho is playing against Raman Ditno. So D4, D6, another London from Ramat. Last time we got a pretty bad position, but that's not going to deter him from going for the exact same line. And this time I think Psycho is doing the right thing by not taking on F3 that quickly, because he can always take on F3, so why do it that quickly? Castles, Knight E5. Okay, Bishop takes, Knight takes E2. Bishop takes E5. Okay. I actually feel that after Bishop G3, maybe now was the time to take on F3. Yeah, and then to take on G3 and go Queen B6. And then it could be awkward to protect both of these guys. But okay, I think Black is still doing alright. Maybe we'll play something like Bishop F4 to try to kick this guy with F3, but that would always run into some sort of Queen B6, so we have to be careful about that. F4, oh, that looks very committal. How is he planning to make Queen B6, King H1, Queen B2, maybe Rook B1? Oh, there's Bishop F2, what? So Queen B2, Rook B1, Queen A2, Rook B7. I mean, that's a pawn, right? Like, I never understood why White would do this in all of these lines, because it just looks like a pawn to me. Rook takes B8, it's an extra pawn, right? Unless I'm missing something. And also the Rook could be coming straight into B2. No, this is fantastic for Black. This is absolutely fantastic. And of course, if Psycho wins this, it's massive, because that means that he keeps pace with Crush. Of course, Crush still has the higher tiebreak, but things can still change, of course, because how Sonnenberger works is you're have to take into account your opponent's scores. So if he's, and actually that can change here. Like in one round, maybe one side's opponent's doing really well, and then suddenly they all lose. So it's not that easy to say. Okay, rook c7, and we're sitting that knight, but we can play rook f8, right? And just like go for more rook trades, and if we can trade over a pair of rooks, it's just so pleasant for black. It's just a pleasant position. Right, let's go back and see if there's anything else, because I think in the fight for third place there are some. What is this? That's made on h4. So Lasagna is keeping pace. Lasagna is very much keeping pace. He's got 8 points now. So to refresh the standing, Lasagna is going to be half a point behind the leaders, because both of these guys are probably going to win. Crush is true to his name, crushing, and so is Psycho. He's also completely crushing his opponent. Well, how is Hari doing? Hari's not too far behind. Hari didn't start too well. He started with 2 straight losses, but he's making a bit of a comeback. And actually, it's a playable position he's got. Yeah, sort of. It's typical Salimov position. Although g4 is not a typical thing in these lives, she was a little bit exposed White's position. And well, for now, Black doesn't really have any great breaks. e5 is not working, but Black should probably try to prepare that in some way. It is weird. Look at this. Rook c8 maybe. I thought he could play rook c8. No, but he can't move this rook yet, because knight c8. I want to play knight c8, knight d6, but then pawn on c6 would hang. Okay, a4 is like thinking about playing a5, although that would allow him to maybe reroute the knight c7. And Black plays knight a8 himself. This is funny, because the thing is trying to get knight c7. The thing is that I don't know how he's going to get knight c7. It doesn't look possible to get this move, right? Because then c6 always hacks. That's always an issue, that pawn hangs. Then how are you supposed to move your knight out? Rook f6. He's trying to protect that pawn and bring his knight out. That's fair enough. That's okay. There should be ways for White to deal with this, yeah. Knight b3 is not. Oh, knight c5 finish. Okay. So we'll go back and see if there's anything else that's interesting. White's going to take on e6 and play some like bishop h6. So, bishop f4. Okay, let's go bishop h6. Fancy move, why not? It's effective. Yeah. I think what's most important about moves is not whether it's fancy or not, but really how effective it is. And that was a very effective move to get the trade in. So Hari's going to take this game. Let's go back and see if there's anything else. Ray Young, by the way, just to point out, has gone for an attack, but I don't know how he's going to make it work, because he's got only 1 queen. Well, Black has got a lot of stuff here. I think actually Black seems to be the one that's taking over, because with just the lone queen, you're not going to get anywhere. While Black's pieces are all on the king's side, he's going to, at some point, be able to chase White's knight away. Although it's not that simple, because the bishop f4, that's still knight h to f1. So White's still sort of holding on for the moment. Queen f6. Oh, that's a strong move, because the thing is rook h7 will be met by queen g6 earlier on. So now queen f6 is threatening rook h7. So hence knight f3 to stop rook h7, because the bishop would hang. But I guess still bishop f4, knight f5. So rook f8 that's a calm move and a good move. Knight takes, rook takes, g5. Okay, so White's at least got rid of this strong bishop. But okay, Black's attack still persists, and it's still very unpleasant. Yeah, maybe you just bring the queen back to g7, threatening f4. I place queen h6. It's also very strong. It's threatening f4. Very strongly indeed. And I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. And now f4 is going to come, right? Just f4, and if knight e4, then we just like play what? Bishop g4? Oh, that looks... that looks killing. That looks like a disaster. Just bishop g4, yeah? Queen moves and rook h5. How are you supposed to do that? It's a disaster. Oh, Black is torturing his opponent. He's not finishing him off quickly. Now he's gonna go bishop g4. And now he's gonna... Oh, but now okay, there could be knight f6, but... Oh, c4 is nice. Knight f6, just take it as nothing. Yeah, it's dead. It's completely dead. Yeah, and White is crushed. Alright. I'm not gonna see this anymore. It's set. By the way, Crush and Psycho both won, as expected. Raman did not win. It lost. So that means that he's out of the race for the championship. Yes, so the championship will be fought between Crush, Psycho, and Lasagna. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, and it really shows how volatile Blitz chess can be, because as we saw, yeah, Lasagna, sorry, not Lasagna, but Raman was leading by a full point, and just 2 rounds later, he's completely out of the running, which I find quite remarkable. By the way, Raman's getting completely crushed, which is, it's a bit hard to watch, but it is what it is. Okay, what else is there? Any more interesting games? I don't think there are any more. So we're just gonna wait for all the other guys to finish, and yeah, we'll see you after you're done. In order to take a quick ad break. Thank you, by the way, to all of you guys who are staying on the stream. Very much appreciate your support. And I mean, not all of you guys are gonna get an ad. Some of you guys are, some of you guys aren't. But we will see. Okay. Right. Let's see. Games are still going. Rayon was still trying to fight onwards. Nothing to fight. Okay. Who are these guys, by the way? Psycho and... Yeah, I don't think they put their names in the chat, but we will find out after the events when they start playing for the prizes, because we published the prize list. By the way, for those of you guys who are interested, we're going to fight for the prizes. Just to let you know, we are going to pay out the prizes 3 days after the end of this tournament to allow for any anti-cheating measures. So, yeah, three days. So, final ranking list will be published on Tuesday evening, and then I'll start paying out the prizes on Wednesday. So that will be the plan. All right. So just waiting for this guy to finish. Oh, I just realized we are done with 10 rounds. So this is the last round. So that means, yeah, definitely only Crush, Psycho, or Lasagna can win this. I think Lasagna would need like some sort of miracle for him to win, because he's also got the worst tiebreak of the other guys. So he'll need both of these guys to lose, and then he would have a chance, and he would have to win as well. So that should be interesting. But okay, Crush and Psycho was playing not Lasagna. So actually, these pairings are very interesting, because Crush is playing Hari, which is, you know, Hari's completely out of the running for first place. He can get maybe better than... He can maybe get a prize. He definitely can't get first, but he can get a decent price. And Crush is playing quite solidly, obviously. He doesn't want to take too much risk, but then he also wants a position where he can play on for a long time, because you never know. Perhaps his closest competitor is going to have a good position, and then Crush might need to win. So I think this is a fairly reasonable winning choice. Right, so what is Psycho doing? Let's see. Psycho is up against not Lasagna. So not Lasagna needs to win, and that explains this very aggressive opening choice. Because why would you choose something so aggressive if not to try to win? So that completely explains it, yeah? Okay. Right. So what do we have here? We have a... So I have actually a very typical sort of hook that's gone a bit wrong for Black, because White has got c4 and he got a nice center, and Black's trying to attack it with some sort of e5, f6, but it's not really going to help here. e3 and okay, Black gets f5, but it's not really going to help him. Yeah, but actually Black's got some play now. Black is trying to push e4. I mean, the thing is, the computer always likes White in these type of positions, but it's never that easy. If Black gets bishop e6, can play king h8, and at some point can try to play e4. So the structure is quite imbalanced, and Black can get his own chances. in this type of situation. So, okay, queen c7, I'm not so sure. Because maybe there could be some sort of knight b5 sighting, but I guess maybe it's not afraid of that. He's going to just play queen e7. So perhaps this is not something that he's worried about. c5. Very principled. Knight d7, knight b5. Okay, so it's bringing that knight to d6. Both players are fighting this one for the win. And so far, I think white is the one that's doing really, really well. With queen e7, maybe there's even knight g5 that you have to worry about. But then h6. No, but then h6, knight df7 is disastrous. Forcing black to take, and then it's a total disaster. So Lasagna is in big trouble. Knight d8 is the only move to hold on. Credit where credit is due. He's finding good moves to hold this position. Queen d5, knight. I'm not sure about queen d5, by the way. Knight f6, and okay, the queen is getting forced back to b3, and maybe black can now kick with h6. So kick the knight, and then he'll be able to get his own pieces out. Maybe next move will be bishop e6. And here's the thing, because the position is so imbalanced, if white is wasting so much time like this, it could well be that black's the one that's taking over. So bishop e6, I guess that looks like a way to continue. You could also go for knight e6, but it doesn't feel right because I'm not ready to go for knight b4 or anything. So wow, he just plays e4, but I'm just allowing knight d4. It's a committal decision. It's a committal decision which I'm not sure will pay off. Okay, he's also got knight h4, but then king h7. And does he have a follow-up? That's the thing about such kind of moves. You have to have a follow-up to a move like king h7. Otherwise, it's not going to get you anywhere, is it? Not going to get you anywhere. Type of moves. Okay. So, what do we have? Okay. Knight e6. So, bishop is hit. Bishop should go back, I guess. I'm not sure what white should do. What's hanging that pawn on c5? What? I think it's nerves at this point. I don't even think it's chess anymore. I think Psycho is... He feels that he's so close to the goal of like winning this tournament, which he is. And sometimes when that's the case, you start to lose rationality. Yeah? You sort of start to see ghosts in a way. Bishop b4. Okay, so he's looking for some sort of discovery with the knight. Okay, so black maybe has some issues to solve as well. Queen c7, knight b5. I'm not sure whether that was necessary. Maybe he could have gone like a5 instead. Maybe that was a better try. Tell queen c7. Now I'm not sure about rook c1 either. Maybe rook c1 is still good. You still play knight takes c8. You still take that rook on f8. It still looks very nice for white. Queen g3. Wow. Just hits that pawn. That's actually a nice move. Yeah, unless black can do something great about it, which I don't see. Wow. So, you know, I take that all back about white drifting. White is playing well. Suddenly, once you saw bishop b4, this is some great play by white. It's just fantastic stuff. g5, but now white can just grab that pawn on f5. And white's crushing it. Knight f4. I mean, this is... To be fair, black is fighting, but we can just simply move the bishop. We can play rook e1. I mean, yeah, black will still have some side chances, but I feel like white should be taking this one. Bishop c4. That's also a very nice move. I think I like also keeping the two bishops. That looks good. Knight to d5. But the bishop on b4 is hit, as is the knight on f5. So, I mean, it's very much back and forth here, yeah? Both sides are creating threats. White needs to find a way to deal with this. How does he deal with this threat of bishop takes f5? Not so easy, yeah? And time is ticking down. Time is really ticking. You have to play knight takes g7, I think. Knight takes g7, what happens there? Knight takes b4, knight takes c8, and then you get your knight to... What happens? Knight takes b4, knight takes c8, rook takes c8. How do you get your knight out? Now I'm thinking. I'm not so sure, actually. Not that simple, yeah? Sorry. Maybe I can play knight e... No, I can play knight e6. So it's... Knight e6, maybe there's a... Rook takes c4, maybe. You know, always ideas like that we have to think about. Knight takes b4, knight takes c8, rook takes c8. The threat is rook takes c4 and knight e2. That's always the threat. So, knight e6. Okay. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Rook takes c4, knight takes d8. Knight e2, king h2, knight g3. I mean, that looks really good, no? Because then knight takes f1 is going to be a check. Maybe it's not enough for any big advantage. And knight e2 check, king h2, knight takes g3. Maybe f takes g3, rook takes f1, knight takes d8, and knight d3. What is going on there? It's a total mess. It is a total mess. F takes g3. Wow! That is nice. That is actually pretty nice. Is queen d5, rook c7. Wow. It's actually very good. It's a very good try, but I think black can play rook takes f1. Black has to play rook takes f1. Otherwise, if we lost some sort of knight takes f8, it looks dead, yeah? So you gotta play rook takes f1, knight takes d8, and play knight d3 or something. It's not gonna be a great defense for black, but he will have chances to hold this. Of course, it's not what you want as black, yeah? Knight d3, rook takes e4, rook e7 is threatened. It's not pleasant, is it? It's not very pleasant, yeah? Actually, it's g4 an idea. g4 with the idea of rook g4, then knight f2, and maybe creating some sort of mate traps. I placed king g6, so that's moot. Well, I feel like if I'm white, I would go for some sort of g4 because I'm worried that there could be some issues with knight f2, and this is coming up, yeah? Knight f2, wait, knight f2? Knight f2, g4, h4. Oh, but it's still g3. Wow. Somehow white is still surviving this. This is remarkable. It's very remarkable, this. b6, and rook d2 I think is a good one. Stopping rook f2, that knight in e1 is completely trapped. That knight is just so trapped, and now white just takes the pawn. Now white's gonna win this. Knight b5, and white's gonna take this game. I see, rook. Yeah, king d2, now rook f2 is coming up. Not so simple, is it? White is... I mean, black is fighting. Whatever is due is fighting. Rook f2. Rook takes g2 is an idea, but rook king g1, okay, that feels like a nice move. King f1, now there's gonna be check, but check knight d3 still. It's still not over yet, is it? Rook h1, king f2, knight d3, king f3, but it feels like we're forcing white's king out. Oh, wait, but the king g1, there's still king g1. You don't get the draw. King g1, rook takes h3. Oh, you got rook. This is also fine, you know? Rook takes g3. Rook f2, king d1. So you don't actually lose a piece there. That's remarkable. Rook takes, but now, okay, you get a check on f3, I guess. King g1, check on g3, king h2, check on g2, king h1. Oh, this should be... It should be enough counterplay, right? It feels to me like it's enough counterplay. Check on f3, king g1, and I mean, it looks like enough. White's offered a draw. I mean, black can't take a draw, can he? That's the thing, but then if he doesn't take a draw, he's going to lose. That's the problem. Okay, it's going to be a draw. It's going to be a draw, yeah. It's going to be a draw. There's nothing else. King f1, okay. And, well, Psycho's drawn the game, so it's up to Crush. Can Crush win? As Crush won? No, Crush has won! So Crush is the champion. He's the first two-time champion. He's actually the defending champion. So he successfully defended his title. Congratulations to Crush OPG. Fantastic title defense. I think we had the most convincing performance and the most consistent performance. The only one who didn't lose a game besides Not Lasagna. Not Lasagna was also had a very, very solid performance. He's got third place. And now what's going to be settled are the remaining spots. So, I mean, this game White's going to win. So, that's not really going to affect these standings. So, in first place, we have Crush, who, yeah, had a great performance. And also, with, you know, an honorable mention, Not Lasagna, who was also unbeaten. Psycho turned in a very nice performance. He is a very tricky player, and he showed his strength in this game, actually holding some difficult positions and getting second place. So, very well done. Yeah, very well done. Having the most draws gave me a trophy. Oh no, we don't have that, unfortunately. But, yeah, maybe I'll consider that in the future. Maybe we'll call it Draw Master Prize. Player who draws the most games. Yeah, but then the problem is you wouldn't get it because the guy who drew the most games would be like, you know, he'd be the guy at the bottom, yeah? Some guy in the middle who draws always games. So you wouldn't get that prize either, would you? But Raman, after a great start, sort of didn't have that great of a finish, but he did win his last game to get 4th. And you know nothing tops out the main prizes with 8 out of 11. And NDJ is actually going to get main prize as well with 7.5. So congratulations. And by the way, Rayong's going to get the under 12 prize, and I think ChessFM is going to get the under 18. So yeah, some very strong names, and we can see some very strong chess from these guys. So very, very well done. Okay, thank you very much to all of you guys for joining this tournament. Yeah, of course, sort of lost my voice, so I won't talk too much. But I'm really grateful for all of your support, and I hope to see you in the next tournament. I'm planning to organize a tournament in. Actually, I think I might do one at the end of this month if you guys want to. So I mean, it's up to you really. Maybe I'll have a survey, see if you guys are interested in doing one more at the end of the month. If you are, then maybe I'll do one. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Thank you all so very much for supporting this initiative, supporting my tournament, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Thank you, and